Hello, friends. Did you know that nearly 80% of those who watch my videos aren't subscribed? If you enjoy the content, I'd truly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps a lot. Also, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Your interaction not only supports the channel's growth, but also helps these stories reach more people. Thank you all for being here. By the way, where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments. On a Tuesday night in November at 11:47 p.m., I got to work. The dispatch room was exactly as it had been 12 hours earlier. 3 bright screens, 2 radio consoles emitting a constant electronic hum, and that familiar, stale smell of coffee and cleaning chemicals. The fluorescent lights were dimmed for the night shift, bathing everything and everyone in that sickly, greenish light that made them look half dead. When I walked in, Mike was already at work. He'd been doing this job for 23 years, and it showed in his movements, slow, deliberate, like a man who had learned never to rush anything anymore. His coffee cup bore a faded Sheriff's Department logo, probably older than some of the rookies on patrol. "Evening, Davis," he said, without looking up from his console. His fingers were already typing something into the CAD system, that green text on black screen that we all stared at for 8 hours straight. "Hey, Mike, anything interesting happen on day shift?" He snorted. "Define interesting." "Had a lady call in about her neighbor's dog barking. Took 45 minutes to convince her we couldn't arrest a beagle." "Oh, and Martinez found another dead deer on Route 17. That's 3 this week." I settled into my chair and logged into my station. The system took its sweet time loading. It always did. Our CAD software was probably installed sometime during the Clinton administration, and nobody had bothered to update it since. The screen flickered twice before displaying the familiar interface. A map of our county on the left, call logs in the center, unit status on the right. Sandra came in a few minutes after midnight, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. She was new, only been with us for about 6 months. Still had that wide-eyed look that we all lose eventually. She'd learn. They always do. "Quiet night so far?" she asked, hanging her jacket on the back of her chair. Mike and I exchanged a look. You never say the Q word in dispatch. Never. It's like asking for trouble. "It's been a night," I said carefully. "Just got here." The first call came in at 12:14 a.m. Standard noise complaint from the east side of town near the old paper mill district. Lady named Patricia Hernandez said her upstairs neighbors were stomping around, moving furniture at midnight. I dispatched Unit 7, Officers Bradley and Choi, and watched their status change from available to en route on my screen. "Unit 7, show us arriving." Bradley's voice crackled through the radio at 12:22. "Copy that, Unit 7, I responded, logging their arrival time. 3 minutes later, "Dispatch, Unit 7. Spoke with complainant and upstairs residents. Upstairs apartment appears to be vacant, no signs of occupancy. Advised complainant, clearing scene." I typed the disposition code into the system. Unfounded. No action required. Just another person hearing things in an old building. Happened all the time. The next 2 hours passed like they usually did. A drunk and disorderly at Mickey's Bar on 4th Street. A suspicious vehicle parked behind the Walmart. Turned out to be a couple of teenagers making out. A welfare check on an elderly resident who hadn't picked up her medication. She was fine, just forgot. Mike was telling Sandra about the time he'd taken a call from someone reporting a UFO that turned out to be a Walmart bag caught in some power lines. Sandra was laughing, and even I smiled. It was the kind of stupid story that makes the hours pass faster. Then, at 2:47 a.m., my console lit up with an incoming call. I pressed the button. 911, what's your emergency? There was silence on the other end. Not dead air. I could hear something. Background noise. Like static or wind, or maybe water running. Hello? This is 911 dispatch. Can you hear me? A voice finally came through. Male, sounded middle-aged, maybe older. Yes, I need help. Okay, sir, what's your emergency? There's someone in my house. I straightened in my chair, fingers already moving to create a new call in the system. Are you in a safe location right now? I'm in the bedroom. I locked the door. I can hear them downstairs. Okay, stay where you are. Can you tell me your address? He gave me an address. 4725 Berkshire Road. I typed it into the system and waited for it to populate. The screen flickered. Nothing unusual, it did that sometimes, and then displayed the information. Something felt wrong immediately. According to the CID system, 4725 Berkshire Road was listed as demolished 2019. There was a note in red text. Structure no longer exists, lot vacant. I frowned at the screen. Sir, I'm showing that address as, can you verify that address for me? 4725 Berkshire Road. Yes, that's right. Please hurry. I can hear them on the stairs now. I looked over at Mike. He was watching me, picking up on the confusion in my voice. I mouthed weird address at him, and he wheeled his chair over. Sir, I'm sending officers to your location right now. Stay on the line with me. What's your name? Robert Finch. Please, they're getting closer. I can hear... The line went quiet again. Not dead. I could still see the call timer running on my screen. But he wasn't talking anymore. Mr. Finch, are you there? Mike was looking at my screen now, reading the address notes. He pointed at the demolished flag and raised his eyebrows. I shrugged and kept the caller on the line while I dispatched Unit 12, Officer DeMarco, to the location. Maybe it was a mistake in the system. Maybe the demolition got canceled and nobody updated the database. Wouldn't be the first time. Unit 12, respond to 4725 Berkshire Road for a home invasion in progress. Male caller states a subject is inside the residence. Approach with caution. Copy dispatch, en route to 4725 Berkshire. DeMarco's voice was calm, professional. He'd been on the force for 8 years. Good cop. I watched his unit icon start moving on the map. Mr. Finch, officers are on their way. Can you tell me what you heard? How many people do you think are in your house? Still nothing. Just that background noise. It almost sounded like breathing now, but distorted somehow. Mr. Finch? Then I heard it, a sound that made my skin crawl. It was faint, coming through the phone, but unmistakable. A door creaking open, slowly. Mr. Finch, are you there? Can you hear me? A whisper came through the line. So quiet, I almost missed it. They're in the room. Sir, stay calm. Help is almost there. Where are you right now? The whisper again. They're looking at me. Mr. Finch, the call disconnected. The timer stopped at 3 minutes, 47 seconds. I immediately tried calling back. The number showed up on my screen, a local area code. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. No answer. I tried again. Same thing. Unit 12, what's your ETA? I asked into the radio. 2 minutes out, dispatch. Mike was still standing behind me, and I could feel Sandra's eyes on us from across the room. The whole atmosphere had shifted. We all felt it. Dispatch, Unit 12, I'm pulling onto Berkshire now. There was a pause. Dispatch, can you verify that address? 4725 Berkshire Road. What do you see, Unit 12? Another pause, longer this time. Dispatch, there's nothing here. This is an empty lot, grass and dirt, no structure. I stared at my screen. The call timer was still showing. 3 minutes, 47 seconds. But now there was something else that made my stomach drop. The call time, the time the call had come in, was showing as 2:47 a.m. That was correct. But next to it there was another timestamp, automatically generated by the phone system. It showed when the caller's phone had first connected to the network. That timestamp read 11:08/2019, 02:47:13 a.m. Today's date was November 8th, 2023. "Mike," I said quietly, "look at this." He leaned in closer, squinting at the screen. I watched his expression change as he processed what he was seeing. "That's got to be a system glitch," he said, but his voice had lost its confidence. "Unit 12, I spoke into the radio, trying to keep my voice steady. "Check the area. See if there's any sign of disturbance. Any vehicles, any people. Copy, dispatch?" I could hear DeMarco's footsteps through his radio as he walked around. The rustle of grass, the ambient sound of wind. "Dispatch, there's nothing here. Lot's completely empty. No tire tracks, no footprints. Grass is overgrown. I'm going to check with the neighbors, see if anyone reported anything." "Copy, Unit 12. I tried calling the number again. This time, it didn't even ring. Just went straight to a fast, busy signal, the kind you get when a number is disconnected or doesn't exist. I pulled up the reverse directory to look up the number. The system churned for a moment, then returned results. The number was registered to a Robert Finch. The address listed was 4725 Berkshire Road, and according to the phone company records, the service had been disconnected on November 15th, 2019. "This doesn't make sense," I muttered, scrolling through the information. Mike had gone back to his station and was typing something. "I'm looking up the property records," he said. "Give me a minute." Sandra had wheeled her chair over now, too. "What's going on?" she asked. "Probably just a system error," I told her, though I didn't believe it myself. "Some kind of database mix-up." "Found it," Mike said. 4725 Berkshire Road, a single-family home built in 1987, owned by Robert and Margaret Finch from 91 until... He stopped reading, his finger pausing on the screen. "Until what?" I asked. He looked up at me, and his face had gone pale. "Until November 8th, 2019. Property was seized by the county after..." Jesus Christ. "After what, Mike?" He turned his monitor so I could see it. It was a news article from the county website, dated November 10th, 2019. The headline read, "Elderly man found dead in home invasion. Suspect still at large." I read the first paragraph, my hands starting to shake. Robert Finch, 67, was found deceased in his Berkshire Road home early Saturday morning. Police responding to a 911 call made by Finch discovered his body in the master bedroom. Authorities say Finch had called 911, reporting an intruder in his home. The cause of death has not been released, but police are treating it as a homicide. No arrests have been made. The room had gone completely silent except for the low hum of the equipment. Even the radio seemed quiet, though I knew units were still out there, doing their jobs. "That's," Sandra started, but didn't finish. "Unit 12, dispatch," DeMarco's voice suddenly crackled through. "One of the neighbors says this lot's been empty for years. Said something about a murder here back in 2019. Nobody's wanted to build on it since." I couldn't make my voice work for a moment. Mike answered for me. "Copy, Unit 12. You can clear the scene. Return to service. 10-4, clearing." I stared at my console. The call was still logged there in the system. 2:47 a.m., 3 minutes, 47 seconds. From a phone that hadn't existed for 4 years. from a man who'd been dead for 4 years, from a house that had been torn down 4 years ago. "I'm going to call IT," Mike said. "Get them to check the phone system. This has to be some kind of routing error, or a replay of old data, or something." But we all knew better. We'd all been doing this job long enough to know when something felt wrong. And this felt very, very wrong. I pulled up the call recording. Every 911 call is automatically recorded, and played it back. There was my voice. "911, what's your emergency?" And there was his, "Yes, I need help." The timestamp on the recording showed today's date, November 8th, 2023. At 2:47 a.m., I listened to the whole thing again. His voice saying they're in the room. That whisper, "They're looking at me." And then, at the very end, just before the call disconnected, a sound I hadn't noticed before. It was very faint, barely audible under the static. But now that I was listening specifically for it, I could hear it clearly. It sounded like someone else was in the room with him, and they were laughing. The IT guy didn't show up until almost 5 a.m. His name was Kyle, early 30s, usually worked day shift. He looked annoyed at being called in, but that changed when we showed him the call logs. "That's impossible," he said, staring at my monitor. "The phone system doesn't store data like that. When a call disconnects, it's gone. We keep the recordings, but the live connection data, that clears immediately." "But it's still there," I pointed at the screen. "Look, call time, duration, timestamp, everything." Kyle headed down at my station and started typing commands I didn't understand. Code scrolled across the screen. He frowned, typed more, frowned deeper. "This doesn't make any sense," he muttered. "According to the system logs, this call never—" "Wait." He leaned closer to the screen. "The routing protocol is showing—" "No, that can't be right." "What?" Mike asked. He'd been watching from his own station, pretending to work on other calls, but clearly focused on this. "The call came through our main trunk line. That's normal. But the routing data says it was forwarded from itself, like the call looped through our own system before reaching Davis's console." "In English, Kyle," I said. He rubbed his face. "Imagine if you sent a letter to someone, but the postmark showed it had already been delivered, opened, read, and resent before it ever left your mailbox. That's basically what this is showing." Sandra had been quiet, but now she spoke up. "Could someone be messing with us? Like, hacking the system?" Kyle shook his head. "Our phone system is pretty locked down, and even if someone did hack it, they couldn't fake the carrier's timestamp. That comes from the phone company's network, not our equipment. It's impossible to spoof unless you're the phone company." "So, what are you saying?" Mike asked. Kyle was quiet for a long moment. "I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying this shouldn't be possible, and I don't have an explanation." He did some more typing, then shook his head and stood up. "I'm going to have to escalate this. Talk to some people at the phone company. Maybe get someone from the vendor to look at the CAD system. But for now," he shrugged helplessly, "I got nothing." After Kyle left, the three of us sat in silence. Outside, the sky was starting to lighten, that deep purple that comes just before dawn. In a couple of hours, day shift would arrive and we could go home. The thought of leaving this building had never sounded better. The radio crackled. "Dispatch, Unit 9. We're 10-8, clear from that domestic call." Mike handled it. I was still staring at the call log on my screen, like if I looked at it long enough, it would start making sense. "Maybe we should delete it," Sandra suggested quietly. "Just wipe it from the system. Pretend it never happened." "Can't do that," Mike said. "Every call gets archived. It's policy. And tampering with 911 records is a felony. But if it's a system error, We don't know what it is. My phone rang. My desk phone, not the 911 line. I picked it up. Dispatch, Davis speaking. Hey, it's DeMarco. His voice sounded strange. You still have me logged at that Berkshire Road address? I checked my screen. No, you cleared from there almost 2 hours ago. Why? That's what I thought. But my GPS is showing I'm still there, and my car's computer is showing the same thing. Like I never left. Ice ran down my spine. That's got to be a technical issue. You're at the station, right? Yeah, I'm in the parking lot. But my unit status on the MDT is showing me at 4725 Berkshire Road. I tried refreshing it, rebooting the system. Nothing changes. Mike was already pulling up DeMarco's unit on his screen. I looked over. Sure enough, Unit 12's icon was sitting right where that empty lot was on Berkshire Road. Hang on, DeMarco, I said. I put him on hold and looked at Mike. You seeing this? Yeah. System says he's still at the scene. But he's in the parking lot. I know. I got back on with DeMarco. Go ahead and go 10-7 for the rest of your shift. We'll get IT to look at your vehicle computer tomorrow. Copy that. This is weird as hell, though. Tell me about it. After he hung up, I pulled up the log of DeMarco's activity that night. Everything was there, time-stamped normally, until he'd arrived at 4725 Berkshire Road. After that, the timestamps started getting strange. According to the log, he'd arrived at 2:51 a.m. That was correct, but his clear time, when he'd said he was leaving, showed as 2:51 a.m. as well. The same minute. And yet I clearly remembered him being there, radioing back and forth with me for at least 10 minutes. I scrolled down further. Every subsequent call he'd responded to that night showed the same thing. Arrival time and departure time were identical, right down to the second, as if no time had passed at all. Mike, look at DeMarco's log. He wheeled over again, read the screen, and his jaw tightened. This is getting worse. We need to tell someone, Sandra said. The supervisor, or the 911 console, lit up with another incoming call. I stared at it for a moment before answering. My hand was shaking as I reached for the button. 911, what's your emergency? The same background noise, that static wind water sound. Hello? I said, louder. This is 911 dispatch. A voice came through, male, middle-aged or older, familiar. Yes, I need help. My blood turned to ice. There's someone in my house. It was the same voice, the exact same voice. Robert Finch. I'm in the bedroom. I locked the door. I can hear them downstairs. The words were identical. Not just similar, identical. Same inflection, same pacing, same breath between sentences. Mike was standing now, staring at my screen. Sandra had gone pale. Can you tell me your address? I said, even though I knew what he was going to say. 4725 Berkshire Road. Please hurry. I can hear them on the stairs now. I looked at the screen. The address had auto-populated again, still showing as demolished 2019. But this time, there was something new in the notes field. A line of text that hadn't been there before. Previous call. This address, 0247 a.m. today. See case number 2023 WAM08-02247. The system was referencing the earlier call, the one from 2 hours ago, the one that shouldn't exist. Mr. Finch, I need you to stay calm, I said, my voice barely working. What's your name? Robert Finch. Please, they're getting closer. I can hear. The line went quiet. Mr. Finch, are you there? Mike grabbed his radio. All units. Who's closest to Berkshire Road? Unit 16. I'm about 5 minutes out. A voice responded. Officer Jackson. Respond to 4725 Berkshire Road. Possible home invasion in progress. Copy. 4725 Berkshire. I tried to keep the caller on the line. Mr. Finch, can you hear me? That sound again. The door creaking open. Slowly. Mr. Finch. The whisper. They're in the room. Sir, help is on the way. Where are you? They're looking at me. My hands were trembling. Mr. Finch. And then something different happened. Something that didn't happen on the first call. A second voice came through the line. It was distorted, hard to make out, but definitely there. It said something I couldn't quite catch. What? Who is that? I said into the phone. Mr. Finch, is someone with you? The second voice spoke again, clearer this time. It was saying numbers. 4725. It was saying the address. Berkshire Road. Mr. Finch, who is that? Who's in the room with you? The second voice continued, and as it did, I felt my stomach drop, because I recognized it now. It was my voice. I was hearing myself, asking questions, saying things I hadn't said yet on this call. Sir, help is on the way. Where are you? That was my voice coming through the phone, from the caller's end. But I hadn't said that, not yet, not on this call. On the first call, yes. 2 hours ago. But not now. The whisper came again. They're looking at me. And then, just like before, the call disconnected. I sat frozen, staring at the console. The timer stopped at 3 minutes, 47 seconds. Exactly the same as before. Unit 16 dispatch. Jackson's voice came over the radio. I'm pulling up to Berkshire now. Same as Unit 12 reported. There's nothing here. Empty lot. I couldn't answer. Couldn't make my mouth form words. Mike responded for me. Copy, Unit 16. Clear the scene. Sandra was standing now, backing away from her console. What the fuck was that? What the fuck? I don't know, Mike said, but his voice was shaking too. I looked at the call log. There it was, recorded. Second call from the same number. Same address, same duration. And when I pulled up the recording and played it back, sure enough, you could hear it. My voice in the background, asking questions that hadn't been asked on this call. Questions from the first call, somehow playing back during the second. The timestamp on the second call showed 4:53 a.m., November 8th, 2023. But next to it, that phone system timestamp showed 11/08/2019, 04:53:47 a.m., not 2:47 this time. 4:53, the same date 4 years ago, but a different time. He called twice, I said quietly. The night he died, he called 911 twice. Mike pulled up the news article again, reading more carefully this time. Initial call came in at 2:47 a.m. Officers arrived at 2:56 a.m. and found Finch dead. But, he scrolled down. This says they also found evidence that Finch had made a second call to 911, but that call never made it through to dispatch. The line had disconnected before anyone answered. 4:53, I said. He tried to call again at 4:53 in the morning. But he was already dead by then, Sandra said. The article says they found him at 2:56. We all sat with that for a moment. So, how did he make a call 2 hours after he died? Mike finally asked. Nobody had an answer. I looked at my screen again, at that list of calls. 2 now. Both from Robert Finch, both from a demolished house, both from 4 years ago. And I couldn't shake the feeling that there would be more. The sky outside had turned from purple to pink. Dawn was coming. In 45 minutes, day shift would arrive. I wanted to leave. I wanted to clock out and go home and sleep and wake up and have this all have been some weird stress-induced hallucination. But I couldn't stop staring at that phone console, waiting for it to light up again. Because I knew it would. I didn't know how I knew, but I knew. He was going to call back. The third call came at 6:31 a.m. Day shift had just started arriving. Carol was at her locker, putting her lunch in the break room fridge. Jensen was getting coffee. Through the window, I could see the sun had fully risen. A cold November morning. Frost on the cars in the parking lot. I should have been gone by now. My shift ended at 7 a.m., but Mike and I had stayed, unable to leave. Sandra had clocked out at 6:30, practically running for the door. I didn't blame her. When the console lit up, I knew before I answered it. 911, what's your emergency? Same static, same background noise, but this time I noticed something I'd missed before. Underneath the static there was a rhythmic sound, like a clock ticking, or footsteps. Regular, even, methodical. Yes, I need help. Robert Finch's voice again. But this time it sounded different, more distant, like he was speaking from farther away, or like the phone was moving away from him. There's someone in my house. Mike was alerting the supervisor, Lieutenant Crawford, who just walked in. I watched them, talking urgently, Crawford's face going from annoyed to confused to disturbed. I'm in the bedroom. I locked the door. I can hear them downstairs. The address populated 4725 Berkshire Road. But now, the note in the system had changed. It showed both previous calls and then a new line. Warning, anomalous call pattern detected. Do not dispatch units. Someone in it had flagged it, but I was already on the call, and I had to see it through. Mr. Finch, can you tell me your name? I said, even though I knew. Robert Finch. Please, they're getting closer. I can hear... The line went quiet. I waited for the door creak, waited for the whisper, but this time something different happened. I heard footsteps, clear, distinct footsteps, not from his end, from my end, coming through the phone from the dispatch room. No, that wasn't possible, but I could hear it. Footsteps on linoleum getting closer. I looked around the dispatch room. Carol was still in the break room. Jensen was at his console now, logging in. Mike was with Crawford at the supervisor's desk. Nobody was walking. Mr. Finch, I said into the phone. The footsteps continued, closer, and then I heard it, my own voice coming through the phone. Not from the caller's end this time, from my end, from the dispatch room. 911, what's your emergency? It was me, answering the phone, but I hadn't said that. Not on this call. That was from the first call, 2 hours ago, no, 4 years ago. The door creak came next, slow, ominous. Mr. Finch, are you there? That was my voice too. From the second call, I realized, the one at 4:53, the whisper, they're in the room. And then, overlapping, another whisper. A second voice, different from the first. Lower, rougher. They're looking at me. Wait. That wasn't Robert Finch's voice anymore. That was my voice. I was hearing myself whisper, they're looking at me through the phone, from Robert Finch's call. Mike, I said, my voice cracking. Mike, Crawford was at my console now, looking at the screen. What the hell is this? Sir, the call, it's through the phone. I heard more voices now, overlapping, speaking over each other. Some were Robert Finch, some were me. Some were other voices I didn't recognize, dispatchers maybe from calls I'd never taken. Someone in my house, Unit 12, respond to, they're getting closer. Copy that, dispatch. In the bedroom. What's your emergency? All of them talking at once. A cacophony of voices from different calls, different times, all playing simultaneously. And underneath it all, that rhythmic sound. Footsteps, getting closer. The call timer was still running. 2 minutes, 13 seconds. 2 minutes, 14 seconds. Crawford grabbed the phone from my hand and listened. His face went white. "Disconnect it," he said. "Disconnect the call right now." I hit the button. The line went dead. We all stood there, breathing hard, staring at the console like it might explode. "What in God's name was that?" Crawford said. Before anyone could answer, the console lit up again. Same number, 4725 Berkshire Road. "Don't answer it," Crawford said. But the call was already routing through the system automatically. After 3 rings, if no one picked up, it would go to the backup dispatcher. We watched it ring, once, twice. On the 3rd ring, Jensen's console lit up across the room. "Jensen, don't," Crawford started. But Jensen had already answered it, probably thinking it was a different call. 911, what's your emergency?" We could hear it from across the room, coming through Jensen's headset. That static, that background noise, and then Robert Finch's voice, crystal clear. "Yes, I need help." Jensen's face went confused. "Sir, can you tell me there's someone in my house?" "Jensen, disconnect that call," Crawford shouted. But Jensen wasn't moving. He was just sitting there, headset on, staring at his screen. "Jensen!" I ran over to him. "Hang up the phone." He didn't respond. His eyes were unfocused, glassy. His lips were moving, but no sound was coming out. Mike reached over and manually disconnected Jensen's console from the phone system. The call dropped. Jensen blinked, shook his head, looked around like he'd just woken up. What happened?" he said. "You tell us," Mike said. "What did you hear?" I don't remember. I answered the phone, and then..." He trailed off, confused. My console lit up again. Then Mike's, then Carol's in the break room. I could hear it ringing from here. All of them, the same call, 4725 Berkshire Road. "Shut it down," Crawford said. "Shut down the phone system, now." "We can't do that," Mike said. "People could be calling with real emergencies. We'd be cutting off the entire county's 911 service." "I don't care, shut it." All the phones stopped ringing at once. The room went silent. Even the normal hum of the equipment seemed muted, like someone had turned down the volume on reality. We stood there, frozen, waiting. Then my console screen flickered. Text appeared in the call log, typing itself out in real time. "Call received. 4725 Berkshire Road. Caller, Finch Robert. Time, 02:47 a.m. Date, 11/08/2019, and then, below it, time, 04:53 a.m. Date, 11/08/2019, and then, time, 06:31 a.m. Date, 11/08/2019. More timestamps started appearing, filling the screen, scrolling up as new ones appeared at the bottom. Time, 07:14 a.m. Time, 8:22 a.m. Time, 09:05 a.m. Time, 10:41 a.m. All of them from November 8th, 2019. All of them from 4725 Berkshire Road. All of them from Robert Finch. Calls that had never been logged. Calls that had never been answered. Calls from a dead man, made throughout the entire day after he died. The screen kept filling. Dozens of calls. Hundreds. Time, 11:57 a.m. Time, 01:33 p.m. Time, 03:19 p.m. He kept calling, I whispered. All day. He kept trying to call 911, but he was dead, Mike said. He died at 2:56 a.m. The timestamps continued scrolling, through the afternoon, into the evening, into the night. Time, 08:47 p.m. Time, 10:15 p.m. Time, 11:38 p.m. And then they stopped. The last timestamp. Time, 11:59 p.m., 11/08/2019. 1 minute before midnight. The screen froze like that for a moment. All those calls listed, all unanswered. Then, at the bottom, new text appeared. Time, 02:47 a.m., 11/08/2023. Status, answered. Time, 04:53 a.m., 11/08/2023. Status, answered. Time, 06:31 a.m., 11/08/2023. Status, answered. And then, time, 07:14 a.m., 11/08/23. Status, pending. I looked at the clock on the wall. It was 7:13 a.m. Oh no, I breathed. The console lit up. Crawford unplugged my console from the wall. The screen went black immediately, the hum of the equipment dying. But across the room, Mike's console lit up. Same call. He unplugged his too. Carol's started ringing in the break room. "Everyone unplug your stations," Crawford ordered. "Physical disconnect, right now." We moved fast, pulling power cables, disconnecting phone lines. One by one, the consoles went dark. The dispatch room, usually alive with lights and screens and the constant chatter of radio traffic, went silent and dim. But my radio, the handheld on my belt, started crackling. So did Mike's, and Crawford's. Every radio in the building started receiving the same transmission at once. Static first. Then that background noise, wind, water, whatever it was. And then Robert Finch's voice coming through every radio simultaneously. "Yes, I need help." Crawford grabbed his radio and shut it off. But it didn't matter. The voice was coming from all of them, echoing through the empty dispatch room. "There's someone in my house." I turned mine off too. The voice continued, fainter now, coming from the radios of units out in the field. We could hear them through the walls, through the building's speaker system. I'm in the bedroom. I locked the door. Crawford ran into his office and hit the master cutoff for the entire radio system. The building went completely silent. We stood there in the dark, barely breathing. Then, from my pocket, my cell phone rang. I looked at the screen. The number was showing as 4725 Berkshire Road. "Don't answer that," Mike said. I wasn't going to, but as I watched, the call connected anyway. I hadn't touched it. Robert Finch's voice came through my cell phone's speaker. "I can hear them downstairs." I threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor. But the voice continued. Mike's phone started ringing. Then Carol's, then Crawford's. All of us, our personal phones, all receiving the same call. "Please hurry, I can hear them on the stairs now." Carol was crying. Jensen had his hands over his ears. Crawford was trying to call someone. I don't know who, maybe the phone company, maybe the state police. But his phone was only playing Robert Finch's voice. I walked over to where I'd thrown my phone. The screen was cracked, but it was still lit up, still showing the call connected. I picked it up and held it to my ear. "Mr. Finch," I said. "It's okay. We can hear you. We've been hearing you all morning, all day, for 4 years." The background noise continued. That static, that rhythmic footstep sound, but no response. "Mr. Finch, you're dead. You died 4 years ago, November 8th, 2019. Someone broke into your house and killed you. We found you. The police found you. Still nothing. You need to stop calling. Please, we can't help you. You're already gone. The line stayed open. I could hear something. Movement, maybe. That ticking footsteps sound getting louder. And then, for the first time, a different voice came through. Not Robert Finch, not mine. A third voice, male but younger, unfamiliar. It said, "He knows." I felt my blood turn to ice. "What?" I whispered into the phone. "He knows you're listening." "Who knows? Robert Finch?" "He knows where you are." In the background, I heard that door creak open. The same sound from all the previous calls. But this time, I realized something that made my stomach drop. That sound wasn't coming from my phone. It was coming from behind me. I turned around slowly. The door to the dispatch room was opening. Not the one to the hallway. We could see that door, and it was closed. The door in the corner, the one that led to the old equipment room. The room we never used anymore because it was full of obsolete radio equipment from the 1980s. That door was opening slowly, the same creak. Crawford saw it too. "Who's in there?" he shouted. "Show yourself!" Nobody came out, but we could all hear it now. Footsteps, from inside that room, on concrete floor, coming closer. Mike grabbed his gun. Crawford had his too. They approached the door, flashlights out. "Police, come out now!" The footsteps stopped. Through my phone, I heard Robert Finch whisper, "They're in the room." Mike reached the door and yanked it fully open, flashlight beam cutting into the darkness. The room was empty. Old radio equipment, dusty shelves, concrete walls. No windows, no other exits. Nobody there. But in my phone, the whisper came again. "They're looking at me." And I realized, with a horror that made my legs weak, that the pronoun had changed. Not, "they're looking at him." They're looking at me. I looked down at my phone screen. The call timer had stopped at 3 minutes, 47 seconds. But the call was still connected. "Mike," I said quietly, "we need to leave right now." He turned to look at me, and his face went pale. He was looking at something behind me. I turned. On every console screen, even the ones we'd unplugged, text was appearing. "Call in progress. 4725 Berkshire Road. Duration, 3 min 47 SEC. Status, answered." And below that, in larger text, "Dispatcher, Davis, J. Date, 11/08/2023. Time, 07:14 a.m. And then, on every screen at once, date, 11/08/2027. Time, 07:14 a.m. My hands started shaking. "What does that mean?" Carol asked, her voice breaking. "Why is it showing 2027? I knew what it meant. The same way Robert Finch had made calls throughout November 8, 2019. Calls that went unanswered, that never made it through, that played back 4 years later. I was making the same call now, on November 8, 2023, and it would play back 4 years from now. "We need to document this," Crawford said, trying to maintain control. "We need to—" All the screens went black. Then they flickered back on, showing the CAD system map. Normal, like nothing had happened. I looked at my phone. The call had disconnected. The cracked screen showed my normal home screen. Mike checked his console. The call logs were still there, both calls from this morning, timestamped normally. But the hundreds of other calls from 2019 were gone, like they'd never appeared. Did we all just see that? Jensen asked quietly. Nobody answered. Crawford called in a formal report. Over the next few hours, investigators came. IT specialists came. Even someone from the phone company came. They checked everything: phone systems, radio systems, computers, our personal devices, everything tested normal. The call recordings existed, all 3 calls from that morning. You could listen to them. Robert Finch's voice was right there, clear as day. The timestamps were correct. The addresses matched. But when they tried to trace the actual phone number, it showed as disconnected since 2019. Must be some kind of spoofing, the phone company guy said. Someone routing calls through old numbers, trying to mess with you. Happens sometimes. But he couldn't explain the background voices. My voice, asking questions from previous calls. He couldn't explain how Jensen had answered the call when it had been disconnected. He couldn't explain the footsteps in the equipment room. By 3 p.m., everyone had left. The dispatch room was operational again. New shift had taken over. Life went on. I was told to go home, take a few days off. Mike, too. They wanted us to talk to a counselor about stress and the importance of mental health in dispatch work. But I knew what I'd heard. I knew what I'd seen. Before I left, I pulled up the archived news article one more time. The one about Robert Finch's murder. I read it more carefully now, looking for details I'd missed before. Police responding to the 2:47 a.m. call found Finch deceased in his bedroom. The medical examiner estimated time of death at approximately 2:52 a.m. Investigators noted that Finch had attempted to barricade himself in the room and that his cell phone showed multiple attempted calls to 911 throughout the early morning hours, though dispatch records show only 1 call was successfully connected. 1 call successfully connected. But the article was from November 10th, 2019, 2 days after the murder. I searched for follow-up articles. Found one from a week later. Police continue to investigate the death of Robert Finch. Officials have revealed that Finch's cell phone records show dozens of attempted 911 calls made throughout November 8th, continuing for nearly 24 hours after his estimated time of death. Phone company representatives say this is likely a technical error in their records. I kept searching, found an article from a month later. The Robert Finch murder case remains unsolved. In a strange development, County 911 dispatch has reported receiving multiple calls from Finch's disconnected phone number since his death. Officials attribute this to automated callback features and system glitches. And one from a year later, November 2020. On the anniversary of Robert Finch's unsolved murder, County Dispatch reported receiving the same anomalous calls from the deceased man's phone. Technical experts remain puzzled. And from 2021 and 2022, every year, on November 8th. But this was the first year anyone had actually answered. I closed the browser and looked at the clock. It was 3:47 p.m. My phone was in my pocket. I could feel it there, like it was heavier than it should be. I pulled it out and looked at the screen. No calls. No messages. Everything normal. But in my call history, there it was. A 3-minute, 47-second call to 4725 Berkshire Road at 7:14 a.m. Outgoing. Not incoming. I had called him. Or I was going to. 4 years from now. I drove home in a daze. Couldn't remember the drive. Just suddenly found myself in my driveway, staring at my house, trying to remember how I'd gotten there. Inside, I tried to sleep. Couldn't. Kept hearing that static. Those footsteps. That whisper. They're looking at me. Around midnight, I gave up and made coffee. Sat at my kitchen table, staring at my phone. The call history still showed it. 7:14 a.m. 3 minutes, 47 seconds. 4725 Berkshire Road. I opened my laptop and looked up the address on Google Maps. The satellite view showed an empty lot exactly like DeMarco had described. Grass and dirt, no structure. I clicked on Street View. The image was dated August 2019, 3 months before the murder. And there it was, a small single-story house. White siding, dark roof, a sedan in the driveway, neat lawn, normal. I clicked forward through time using the historical imagery feature. August 2019, house there. November 2019, no image available. March 2020, empty lot. June 20, empty lot. Every image after November 2019 showed the same thing. Nothing. But in that August 2019 image, I could see someone. Just barely visible through one of the windows. A man's silhouette standing in what looked like the bedroom. I zoomed in as far as the resolution would allow. He was facing the window, facing the camera, like he knew the Google car was there, like he was waiting for it. I couldn't make out his face clearly, but I could see enough. He was holding something to his ear, a phone. I slammed the laptop shut and pushed away from the table, breathing hard. My phone rang. I stared at it. The screen showed no caller ID. It rang again. Again. I picked it up, didn't answer, just looked at it. It rang 6 times and went to voicemail. A minute later, the voicemail notification appeared. My hands were shaking as I played it. Static first. That background noise. Then Robert Finch's voice, crystal clear. Yes, I need help. There's someone in my house. I'm in the bedroom. I locked the door. I can hear them downstairs. Can you tell me your address? 4725 Berkshire Road. Please hurry. I can hear them on the stairs now. But then something new. Something that made my blood run cold. Another voice. Younger. Unfamiliar. The same voice from the dispatch room. It said, "We're calling again tomorrow. Same time. You need to answer. He's waiting." The voicemail ended. I sat there for a long time just breathing, trying to process. Then I called Mike. He answered on the first ring like he'd been awake too. "Davis? Mike, did you get a call just now?" "No, why? Did you?" I told him about the voicemail, about the Street View image, about everything. He was quiet for a long time. "We need to tell someone," he finally said. "The police, the FBI, someone. And tell them what? That we're getting calls from a dead man? That my call history shows I called him first? What are you saying?" "I'm saying I don't think this is something they can help with." More silence. "What are we supposed to do?" Mike asked. I looked at my phone, at that call history, at tomorrow's date. November 9th, 2023. "I don't know," I said. "But I think it's going to happen again." "The calls? Yeah, tomorrow. And the day after, and every day." "How do you know?" "Because that's what Robert Finch did. He kept calling all day, every day, until what?" I didn't answer because I didn't know. I still don't know. We hung up, and I sat in my kitchen watching the sun come up through the window. Dawn on November 9th. My phone is next to me as I write this. It's been quiet all morning. No calls, no messages. But it's only 6:30 a.m. I know what's going to happen at 7:14, the same way I know what's going to happen every day after that. The calls will come, not just to my work console, to my personal phone, maybe to my home phone, maybe to other dispatchers, maybe to everyone who was in that room, because Robert Finch is still calling. He never stopped. And now, somehow, we're part of it. I've tried to tell people. The investigators yesterday said it was stress. The counselor I talked to this morning said it was trauma response. But they weren't there. They didn't hear the footsteps. They didn't see the screens. They didn't hear that third voice say, "He knows where you are." It's 7:10 a.m. now. 4 minutes. I'm looking at my phone, waiting. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. The thing I can't stop thinking about. Robert Finch died at 2:52 a.m. on November 8, 2019. But according to his phone records, he kept calling throughout that entire day, which means he was making calls after he died, for hours, all day. So what happens when it's been 4 years? What happens when it's been long enough that answering the call doesn't just replay it, it completes it? What happens when the loop closes? It's 7:13 a.m. My phone screen just lit up. Incoming call. 4725 Berkshire Road. I'm going to answer it. Not because I want to, but because I don't think I have a choice anymore. Because somewhere, 4 years from now, I'm going to be the one calling back. And someone is going to have to answer. The phone is ringing. I'm picking it up, I'm holding it to my ear, and I'm saying, 911, what's your emergency? I came on shift at 10 o'clock p.m. on a Thursday in late October. The dispatch center was quieter than usual, just me and Tommy working the floor, with Sergeant Morrison in his office doing paperwork. Tommy had been dispatching for maybe 3 years, still relatively new but competent enough. I'd been doing this for 9 years, long enough to know when a shift felt normal and when it didn't. This one felt normal. The evening had been typical for a Thursday night. A few traffic stops, a noise complaint at the college dormitories, someone's car getting towed from a fire lane at the grocery store. Nothing that required more than routine radio traffic and logging the appropriate codes into the CAD system. "Think we'll make it through without anything major?" Tommy asked around 11:30, leaning back in his chair and stretching. I shot him a look. "Don't." He laughed. "Come on, Harper. You don't really believe in that superstition, do you?" I've been doing this 9 years. Every single time someone says the Q word or talks about having an easy night, all hell breaks loose within an hour. That's just confirmation bias. Call it what you want. I'm not tempting fate. We had 6 units out on patrol that night. Units 201, 203, 209, 217, 224, and 229. Standard coverage for a weeknight. Most of them were cruising their assigned sectors, running occasional plate checks, stopping for coffee at the 7-Eleven on Madison Avenue. Unit 217 was Martinez and Kowalski. Martinez was a 10-year veteran, solid cop, the kind of guy who did everything by the book and never caused problems for dispatch. Kowalski was newer, maybe 2 years on the force, but Martinez had taken him under his wing. They made a good team. At 11:47 p.m., Unit 217 called in a traffic stop. "Dispatch, Unit 217, we're 10 to 38 on Route 9, northbound near the Riverside exit. Silver Honda Civic, plate number John Mary Kilo 4729. I logged it into the system. "Copy, Unit 217. 1038 Route 9 northbound. Stand by for registration." I ran the plate through the system while Tommy handled a call from Unit 203 about a suspicious vehicle in a parking lot. The Honda came back clean, registered to a Jennifer Walters in Millbrook. No wants or warrants. Insurance valid. Inspection current. Unit 217, registration comes back to a Jennifer Walters. Address on file is 2847 Oakmont Drive in Millbrook. No warrants, vehicle is clear. "Copy that, dispatch." I could hear Martinez talking to the driver through his radio. Standard traffic stop stuff. License and registration, reason for the stop, broken taillight, the usual back and forth. Nothing concerning. "Dispatch, Unit 217. We're 1024, clear from the stop, issued a warning. Copy, Unit 217. You're clear at 2352. Tommy got up to refill his coffee. "See? Nice quiet night, nothing happening. It's not even midnight yet, don't jinx it. He rolled his eyes, but didn't say anything else. The next hour passed smoothly. Unit 224 called in a welfare check on an elderly resident. Turned out fine. The woman had just forgotten to call her daughter back. Unit 209 assisted with a minor fender bender in a shopping center parking lot. Unit 201 broke up a loud party at a rental house near the community college. At 12:57 a.m., Unit 217 called in another stop. Dispatch, Unit 217. We're 1038 on Riverside Road, Cross Street Maple. Blue Ford F-150. Plate number Sam Adam Robert 8315. Copy, Unit 217. I ran the plate. Came back registered to a Mark Patterson in the county, everything clean. Unit 217, registration comes back to Mark Patterson, address on file is 156 Riverside Road. Vehicle is clear, no wants or warrants. 10-4, dispatch. I noted that the registered address was on Riverside Road, same street where they'd made the stop. Probably the guy lived nearby, was heading home. Not unusual. A few minutes passed. I could hear Martinez talking to the driver, though the audio was a bit muffled. Their radio had been acting up lately. Sometimes the transmission would get fuzzy or cut out for a second. It had been meaning to look at it, but hadn't gotten around to it yet. Dispatch, Unit 217. We're clear from the stop. Verbal warning issued. Copy, Unit 217. Clear at 0104. Tommy was scrolling through his phone, probably reading news or checking sports scores. Morrison had come out of his office earlier to grab a coffee and then disappeared back inside. The radio traffic was sparse. Just the occasional location check from units, someone running a plate here and there. At 1:23 a.m., Unit 217 called in again. Dispatch, Unit 217, we're 1038 on Riverside Road near the junction with Route 9. Black Nissan Altima, plate number. There was a pause. Martinez's voice sounded slightly different, like he was standing farther from his radio. Plate number, Thomas Henry Victor 2961. I ran it. Clean vehicle. Registered to someone in the next town over. Unit 217, vehicle comes back registered to a Sarah Mitchell in Clearwater. No wants, no warrants. Copy. This time, the stop seemed to take longer. I watched the clock. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Usually Martinez was efficient with traffic stops, in and out in 5 minutes or less unless there was a reason to detain someone longer. At 4 minutes, I keyed my mic. Unit 217, status check. No response. I waited 10 seconds and tried again. Unit 217, do you copy? Martinez's voice came back, but there was static in the transmission. Copy, dispatch. We're still 1038. Running the driver's information. Copy, Unit 217. Something felt off about that, but I couldn't put my finger on what. His voice had been normal, the words were normal, but something in the way he'd paused, or the quality of the transmission, made the back of my neck prickle. Tommy noticed me frowning. What's wrong? Nothing. Unit 217's just taking a while on this stop. Martinez, that's not like him. I know. We both watched Unit 217's status on the screen. Still showing as on a traffic stop. Location logged as Riverside Road near Route 9. Another minute passed. Unit 217, dispatch, what's your status? I called. Static for a moment, then Martinez's voice. We're talking to the driver. Give us a few more minutes. Copy that. Let me know if you need backup. 10-4. But something was definitely wrong now. Martinez never hesitated like that, and his voice had that same strange quality, like he was talking but not quite present, if that makes sense. You think they're okay? Tommy asked. I don't know. Keep an ear out. At 1:31 a.m., 8 minutes into the stop, I heard something through Unit 217's radio that made my stomach drop. Their radio was keyed. I could tell because the little indicator light came on showing their unit was transmitting. But nobody was talking. Instead, there was just sound, background noise, wind maybe, or rustling, and something else underneath it, a low, rhythmic sound that I couldn't quite identify. It reminded me of breathing, but slower, deeper. Unit 217, your radio's keyed. Are you there? I said. The sound continued. That breathing, not breathing sound. And now I could hear something else too, a faint mechanical noise, like metal scraping against metal, or maybe a car door opening. Unit 217, Martinez, do you copy? The radio clicked off. Silence. Then, a few seconds later, Martinez's voice. Sorry, dispatch. Didn't realize the radio was on. We're finishing up here. Copy. Everything okay there? Yeah, everything's fine. We'll be clear in just a minute. Tommy was fully paying attention now, his phone forgotten on the desk. That was weird. Unit 217, if you need assistance, let me know. Negative, dispatch. We're good. But they weren't clear. Another 3 minutes passed. I was about to send another unit to check on them when Martinez finally called. Dispatch, Unit 217. We're 1024, clear from the stop. Copy, Unit 217. You're clear at 0134. Everything all right? 10-4, everything's fine. Driver just had a lot of questions about the citation. But Martinez had said they'd issued a warning, not a citation. I almost keyed my mic to point that out, but decided against it. Maybe I'd misheard earlier, or maybe he'd misspoken now. It happened. Copy that, Unit 217. Their unit icon on the map started moving again, heading north on Riverside Road toward their assigned patrol sector. Tommy exhaled. Man, I thought something was actually wrong there for a second. Yeah, I said. But I was still staring at their unit on the map, that prickle on the back of my neck not going away. The radio crackled. Dispatch, Unit 217. That was fast. They'd only been clear for maybe 30 seconds. Go ahead, Unit 217. We're 1038 on Riverside Road, just past the junction with Route 9. Silver Toyota Camry, plate number, static. Plate number, Frank David George 5582. I frowned. They were stopping another car? Already? In almost the same location. I ran the plate. Clean. Registered to someone local, no issues. Unit 217, vehicle comes back registered to a Michael Chen, address in Riverside. No wants, no warrants. Copy. Tommy looked at me. What are they doing? That's their fourth stop in like an hour and a half. Maybe they're working on their ticket quota, I said, but even I didn't believe that. Martinez wasn't the type. This stop went faster. 3 minutes and they were clear. Then, almost immediately, maybe 15 seconds later, they called in another stop. Dispatch, Unit 217. We're 1038, same location. Red Chevrolet Malibu, plate number, more static. Plate number, Paul Ocean Kilo 9473. What the hell? Tommy muttered. I ran the plate, gave them the information. Clean vehicle. They cleared from that stop in 2 minutes, then called in another one 30 seconds later, and another one after that, and another. Over the next 20 minutes, Unit 217 called in 8 more traffic stops, all in the same general area of Riverside Road near Route 9. Different vehicles, different plates, different registered owners, but always the same location. Unit 217, this is dispatch, I finally said, unable to ignore it anymore. Can you advise what you're stopping all these vehicles for? Silence for a moment. Then Martinez's voice, but it sounded flat, monotone. Equipment violations, broken taillights. Copy. Just wanted to confirm you're okay there. That's a lot of stops in a short time. We're fine, dispatch. But something was very, very wrong. I could feel it. I looked at Tommy. I'm sending someone to check on them. He nodded. Good idea. I keyed the radio. Unit 203, are you available? Unit 203, go ahead. Can you swing by Riverside Road near Route 9? Unit 217 has been making multiple stops in that area and I want a welfare check. Copy, dispatch. En route. Unit 203 was Officer Reynolds, a solid cop with 15 years on the force. If anyone could figure out what was going on, it was him. I watched his icon on the map start moving toward Unit 217's location. ETA about 4 minutes. Dispatch, Unit 217. We're 1038 again, same location. Unit 217. Stand by. I interrupted. Unit 203 is en route to your location for a welfare check. Can you hold your position? Silence. Long enough that I was about to repeat myself. Then, copy, dispatch, we'll be here. Something in the way he said that, we'll be here, made my skin crawl. It sounded wrong, like a promise and a threat at the same time. Tommy had pulled up the GPS tracking on his monitor showing both Unit 217 and Unit 203. I watched them converge on the map. Unit 203, Unit 217 should be just ahead of you. Copy, dispatch. I see their lights now. A moment later, dispatch Unit 203. I'm 1023, on scene with Unit 217. Copy, Unit 203. I waited for Reynolds to say something else, to confirm that Martinez and Kowalski were okay, that everything was fine, that we'd all been worried over nothing. But the radio stayed quiet. 30 seconds passed. A minute. Unit 203 status? I called. No response. Unit 203, do you copy? Nothing. Tommy and I looked at each other. The prickle on my neck had become a full chill running down my spine. Unit 203, this is dispatch. Respond. The radio crackled, but it wasn't Reynolds who answered. It was Martinez, or someone who sounded like Martinez. Dispatch, Unit 217. We're all good here. Unit 203 is checking our vehicle. Everything's fine. Unit 217, have Unit 203 call me on the radio. He's busy right now. I'll have him call you in a minute. That wasn't procedure. Reynolds should have responded himself, and his radio should have been on. I looked at Morrison's office. The lights were still on, but I couldn't see him through the window. Tommy, go get Morrison right now. He didn't argue, got up, and went straight to the supervisor's office. I keyed the mic again. Unit 2117, I need to speak with Unit 203 immediately. Stand by, dispatch. More silence. I stared at the GPS display. Both units were still there in the same spot on Riverside Road. Not moving. Tommy came back with Morrison, who looked concerned. What's going on? I explained quickly. The multiple stops, the weird radio transmissions, Unit 203 going silent. Morrison frowned and grabbed the radio mic himself. Unit 203, this is Sergeant Morrison, respond. Nothing. Unit 217, this is Sergeant Morrison. What is Unit 203's status? That pause again. Too long. Then Martinez's voice. He's fine, Sergeant. He's just looking at our patrol car. There was an issue with the rear lights. Have him respond on the radio, Martinez. He will in just a second. Morrison's jaw tightened. He keyed the mic again. All units, I need someone to respond to Riverside Road near Route 9 immediately. Unit 203 and Unit 217 are 10 to 23 and not responding properly. 3 units called back almost simultaneously, confirming they were en route. Units 201, 209, and 224, all headed toward that location. I pulled up the GPS tracking for all of them. Watched them converge on the map, blue icons moving toward the thin red icon that was Unit 2 and 17. Unit 201, dispatch, ETA, 2 minutes out, dispatch. Copy, approach with caution. Something's not right. 10-4. Morrison was standing behind us now, watching the screens. Tommy had his hand on the phone, ready to call for state police backup if needed. We all waited, watching those GPS icons move. Unit 201 got there first. Dispatch, Unit 201. I'm pulling up to the scene now. I can see Unit 200 and Siamese patrol car. Lights are on, but dispatch, I don't see anyone. My stomach dropped. Unit 201, can you see Unit 203's vehicle? Negative. Just Unit 217. Their car is sitting in the middle of the road, driver's door is open, but there's nobody around it. Copy. Proceed with caution. Units 209 and 224 expedite to that location. 10-4. We're 1 minute out, Unit 209 responded. Dispatch, Unit 201. I'm approaching the vehicle on foot. Still don't see anyone. We could hear her footsteps through her radio, the rustle of her equipment belt. The patrol car is running. Lights are on. The radio is on and transmitting. I can hear it. Unit 201, do you see Martinez or Kowalski? Negative. The car is empty. No. Wait. She stopped talking. Just the ambient sound of wind and distant traffic coming through her radio. Unit 201, what do you see? Dispatch, there's a phone in the front seat. It's on. Screen is active. And the radio mic is keyed, like someone's holding down the transmit button. Morrison grabbed the mic from me. Unit 201, is there any sign of a struggle? Any blood? Any damage to the vehicle? Negative, Sergeant. The car looks normal, just empty. And that phone, it's weird. The screen is showing a call in progress to 911. I pulled up the 911 call log. There were no active calls from any of our units. Unit 201, we're not showing any incoming calls from Unit 217. That's what the screen says, though. It shows 911 and a timer. Call's been connected for, she paused, for 42 minutes. I looked at my log. The last time we'd heard normally from Martinez was at 1:04 a.m., when they'd cleared from their second stop. It was now 1:51 a.m., 47 minutes ago. Unit 201, stand by. Units 209 and 224, what's your ETA? Just arriving now, dispatch, Unit 209 said. Over the next few minutes, I listened as 3 officers searched the area around Unit 217's patrol car. They checked the surrounding woods, the nearby buildings, under the car, everywhere. No sign of Martinez, Kowalski, or Reynolds. No sign of Unit 203's vehicle anywhere. Just Unit 217's empty patrol car, sitting in the middle of Riverside Road, radio keyed and transmitting. A phone showing a 911 call that didn't exist on our end. Dispatch, Unit 21 called. I'm looking at their CAD terminal in the car. The screen is showing, she trailed off. What is it, Unit 201? It's showing they're on a traffic stop. Same location. Timer shows they've been on this stop for 41 minutes. And dispatch, it's logging new stops. While I'm watching, the screen just showed another 1038, another plate number, another vehicle. But there's nobody here. There's no traffic stop happening. I stared at my screen. Unit 217 was showing as on stop still, just like she said. But I wasn't getting any radio traffic from them. The system was just updating itself, logging stops that weren't being called in. Morrison, I said quietly, what the hell is this? He didn't answer, just stared at the screens. The radio crackled. All of us jumped. "Dispatch, Unit 217. It was Martinez's voice, clear as day. But Unit 201 was standing right next to his empty patrol car. "We're 1038 on Riverside Road. White Ford Explorer, plate number Adam Lincoln Edward 9264. Morrison grabbed the mic. "Unit 217, Martinez, where are you?" "We're on Riverside Road, Sergeant, running a plate now." "Martinez, your vehicle is empty. Where are you and Kowalski? Where's Reynolds?" Silence, then, "We're right here, Sergeant, on Riverside Road, running this plate." Unit 201's voice cut in, urgent. "Dispatch, Sergeant. The radio in the patrol car, the one that's keyed, it just transmitted. That's where his voice is coming from the radio inside the empty car." Morrison made the decision to call in the state police at 2:14 a.m. By 2:30, we had 3 state trooper units en route, along with a supervisor from their barracks. By that point, Unit 217 had called in, or the radio in the empty patrol car had transmitted, 16 more traffic stops, all from the same location, all with different plate numbers, different vehicles, none of which existed at that location. I'd been running the plates as they came in, just out of habit, just to do something other than sit there and feel useless. Every single plate came back legitimate. Real vehicles, real owners, real addresses. But Unit 201, Unit 209, and Unit 224 had been on scene for 30 minutes now, and they confirmed there was no traffic on Riverside Road. No cars except Unit 217's patrol car. "It's like he's running stops from some other place," Tommy said quietly, "or some other time." I didn't want to think about what that meant. At 2:47 a.m., something changed. "Dispatch, Unit 217. We're 1024, clear from the stop." Martinez's voice coming through the radio in his empty patrol car. Unit 201 confirmed it. "Dispatch, the radio just transmitted. I heard it from inside the vehicle." "Copy, Unit 201. 10 seconds of silence. Then, "Dispatch, Unit 217, requesting backup at our location. Situation escalating." Morrison immediately grabbed the mic. "Unit 217, describe the situation. What's your emergency?" "Driver is becoming combative. We need another unit here now." "Unit 217, we have 3 units at your location. Your patrol car is empty. Where are you?" No response. Then the radio crackled again, but this time it wasn't Martinez's voice. It was screaming. Not words, just a sound. Raw, terrified, agonized screaming. Male voice, could have been Martinez or Kowalski or Reynolds or someone else entirely. It lasted maybe 5 seconds before cutting off abruptly. Unit 201's voice came through, shaking. "Dispatch, that came from the patrol car radio. We all heard it." Morrison's face had gone pale. "Copy, Unit 201. State police are en route. ETA 10 minutes. But the radio wasn't done. A new voice came through. Not Martinez, not Kowalski, not Reynolds. Someone else. Male, but distorted somehow. Like it was being played through a bad speaker, or underwater, or... "Unit 217 is still on the line." The voice repeated it. "Unit 217 is still on the line." And then, more clearly, "They've been on the line for 53 minutes. They can't disconnect. They're trying to disconnect." Morrison's hand was shaking as he keyed the mic. "Who is this? Identify yourself." The distorted voice continued, ignoring him. "The call is still connected. The call has been connected since 1:04 a.m. The call will remain connected." I checked my 911 system. No active calls. No calls from any police units. Nothing. "There is no call. Morrison said into the radio. "There's no active 911 call from Unit 217. "The call is still connected," the voice repeated. "They're at the stop. They're still at the stop. They can't leave the stop." "This is insane," Tommy muttered, but there was fear in his eyes now. Real fear. Unit 201 spoke up. "Dispatch, I'm looking at the phone in the patrol car. The screen, it's changing. The timer is running backwards now. It shows negative numbers, like the call has been connected for negative time." "That doesn't make any sense," Morrison said. "I know, Sergeant, but that's what it's showing. Negative 41 minutes, negative 42, counting down or up, I don't know which." The distorted voice came back. "Unit 217 made contact at 1:04 a.m. Unit 217 cleared at 1:04 a.m. Unit 217 is still at the stop at 1:04 a.m. All 3 times, simultaneously." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "What does that mean?" Nobody answered. The voice continued. "They're on the stop that never ended. They're clear from the stop that's still happening. They're requesting backup before they made the stop." Morrison tried again. "Who is this? How do you have access to this radio frequency?" Silence for a moment, then, "I'm the one Martinez pulled over at 1:04 a.m. I'm the driver of the vehicle. I'm still here. I'm still in my car. I'm still answering his questions. I've been answering his questions for 56 minutes. He keeps asking the same questions. I keep giving the same answers. We're both still here." "Where is here?" Morrison demanded. "Riverside Road near Route 9, where we've always been. Where we'll always be." Unit 201 cut in. "Dispatch, there's no traffic here. I'm looking up and down the road. There's nothing. Just our units and 217's empty car." "You're looking at the wrong road," the distorted voice said. "You're looking at the road that's there now. Not the road that's there at 1:04 a.m. Not the road that's been 1:04 a.m. for the last 57 minutes. Tommy was typing frantically at his computer, pulling up logs, GPS data, anything that might explain this. "This is impossible. Time doesn't work like that. You can't be stuck in a single minute." The voice laughed. It was an awful sound, distorted and wrong. "Can't you? Then explain why their GPS has been showing the same location for 58 minutes. Explain why their call has been connected for 58 minutes. Explain why they've made 17 traffic stops without moving their vehicle." I looked at my screen. Unit 217's GPS icon was indeed still in the exact same spot it had been since 1:04 a.m. Hadn't moved an inch, despite supposedly clearing from stops and making new ones. "The stop never ended," the voice said. "Martinez and Kowalski pulled over a vehicle at 1:04 a.m. They made contact with the driver. They're still making contact with the driver. They will always be making contact with the driver. They can't leave. They can't disconnect. They're on the line." "This is some kind of sick joke," Morrison said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Unit 203 came to check on them at 1:36 a.m., the voice continued. "Reynolds got out of his vehicle. He walked up to Unit 217. He made contact with Martinez. He asked what was happening. And now he's here too. Reynolds is also still at 1:36 a.m. He's been standing next to Martinez for 19 minutes asking the same question over and over. And Martinez keeps answering. The same answer. Every time. Forever." "Where is Unit 203's vehicle?" Unit 201 asked over the radio. "At 1:36 a.m., where it's always been since he arrived. You can't see it because you're at 2:52 a.m. You're in a different time, but they're both there. Both times. Layered. Overlapping." The state police supervisor's voice suddenly cut through. Dispatch, this is State Sergeant Willis. We're 3 minutes out. Fill me in on the situation. Morrison gave him a quick rundown. 3 missing officers. Empty patrol car with active radio, strange transmissions. He left out the part about time loops and impossible calls. I didn't blame him. It sounded insane. The distorted voice came back. More units coming. More units to add to the stop. How many officers can fit in a single minute? How many can exist in the same moment, forever? Who are you? Morrison shouted into the mic. I'm the driver. I'm the reason for the stop. I'm the broken taillight that never gets fixed. I'm the license and registration that's always being checked. I'm the warning that's always being issued. The transmission cut off suddenly, replaced by that same breathing, not breathing sound I'd heard earlier. That low, rhythmic, almost mechanical sound. Then a new voice came through. Martinez's voice, but wrong, strained, terrified. Dispatch, please, we can't leave the stop. Every time we try to clear, we're still here. Every time we get back in the car, we're standing outside talking to the driver. Every time we... His voice broke off with a gasp, then continued. The driver won't stop asking questions. We answer them, but he asks again. Same questions, over and over. We can't leave until we answer, but we keep answering, and we're still here and static. Then Kowalski's voice, high-pitched with panic. How long have we been here? Dispatch, how long has it been? My watch says 104. My watch has said 104 for... I don't know how long. It keeps resetting. Everything keeps resetting except us. We remember. We remember every loop. Every time we answer his questions. Every time we try to clear. We remember all of it. Unit 217, stay calm, Morrison said, though his own voice was shaking. We're going to get you out of there. You can't, Martinez's voice came back. We're not where you are. We're stuck. We're stuck at 1:04 a.m., and every time the minute passes, it starts over. We've lived this minute 100 times, 200 times. We don't know anymore. Please, you have to... The transmission dissolved into that breathing sound again. Unit 201 spoke up, her voice tight. Dispatch, something's happening. The patrol car, it's flickering. Like it's there and then not there and then there again. It's phasing in and out. Unit 201, clarify, Morrison said. The vehicle. 1 second I can see it clearly. The next second it's translucent. Like it's fading out of existence. Then it's solid again. It keeps doing it, flickering. And I can hear something. Voices coming from inside the car when it's solid. Multiple voices, all talking over each other. Tommy had pulled up the GPS tracking on his large monitor. As we watched, Unit 217's icon began to flicker too, appearing and disappearing on the map, the location coordinates changing minutely each time it reappeared. Always within a few feet of the same spot, but never exactly the same. The temporal location is unstable, I said, then immediately felt stupid for saying it. Temporal location? What was I, a physicist? But Morrison nodded grimly. They're existing in multiple times at once, the same physical location, but different temporal locations. That's not possible, Tommy said weakly. Then explain what we're seeing. The state police vehicles arrived at 2:57 a.m. 3 trooper cars, lights flashing, pulling up behind our units on Riverside Road. I listened as they conferred with our officers on scene, heard their confusion and disbelief. State Sergeant Willis's voice came over the radio, professional but clearly disturbed. Dispatch, I'm on scene. Can confirm the patrol vehicle is experiencing some kind of anomaly. It appears solid, then transparent, then solid again. Approximately 3-second intervals. When it's transparent, I can see shapes, figures, inside and around the vehicle. Multiple figures, more than 3. More than 3? Morrison echoed. Affirmative. I'm counting at least 7 or 8 distinct figures when the vehicle is in its transparent phase. Some appear to be in uniform, some are not. And dispatch, he paused. When the vehicle is transparent, I can see another vehicle behind it. An older model sedan, no one visible inside it. Then both vehicles become solid, or just the patrol car becomes solid and the sedan disappears. It's alternating. The distorted voice came back. They keep sending more units, more officers to check on Unit 217, and they all arrive at their own time, their own version of the stop. All of them layered here. Unit 203 at 1:36, the state police at 2:57. How many more? How many more times will be stacked on top of each other? This has to be some kind of equipment malfunction, Tommy said. But even he didn't sound convinced. A glitch in the GPS or the radio system, or the radio crackled with a new voice. Reynolds. Officer Reynolds from Unit 203. Dispatch, can you hear me? This is Reynolds. I don't know where I am. I'm standing next to Unit 217, but there are multiple Unit 217s. I can see 3 of them. No, 4. They're overlapping. Martinez is here, but there are multiple Martinezes. One of them is talking to a driver I can't see. One of them is walking back to his patrol car. One of them is writing something. One of them is screaming. They're all Martinez, but they're all doing different things. Different versions. Different moments. And they're all happening at the same time. Reynolds, can you move? Morrison asked. Can you get back to your vehicle? My vehicle isn't here. I mean, it is here, but I can't get to it. Every time I walk toward where I left it, I'm back standing next to Unit 217. I've tried 20 times, 30 times. I don't know anymore. I keep ending up back where I started, at 1:36 a.m. I've been here for... His voice broke. How long have I been here? My watch says it's been 21 minutes, but it feels like hours. It feels like days. Unit 201 cut in. Dispatch, I'm seeing him. Reynolds, I can see him now when the patrol car goes transparent. He's just standing there next to where the car is, but he's not moving. He's frozen like a paused video. Then the car goes solid and he disappears. I'm not frozen, Reynolds' voice protested. I'm moving. I'm trying to leave, but time keeps. It keeps looping. I keep ending up at the same moment. 1:36:17 a.m. That's what my watch says. 1:36:17. Always 1:36:17. It won't change. The second hand moves, but when it gets to the end, it jumps back. Over and over. Everyone fall back, State Sergeant Willis ordered. All units, move back to a safe distance from the patrol vehicle. Now. I watched the GPS icons retreat, pulling back down Riverside Road, establishing a perimeter about 100 yards from Unit 217's location. Dispatch Willis, I'm requesting additional resources. We need someone who understands what we're dealing with here. This is beyond standard police procedure. Copy, State. What kind of resources? He hesitated. I don't know. Military? Scientific? Something. This isn't a law enforcement matter anymore. Morrison took over the radio. State Sergeant Willis, this is Sergeant Morrison. What's your assessment of the situation? Sergeant, I don't know how to classify this. We have 3 missing officers who claim to be stuck in a time loop. We have a vehicle that's phasing between visible and invisible states. We have multiple reports of seeing duplicate versions of our officers, and we have radio transmissions from impossible sources. This is, he paused, this is not something I have a protocol for. Understood. We're going to contact, the distorted voice cut through, You can't help them. You can't reach them. They're not in your time anymore. They're in the stop. The eternal stop. The stop that never ends. Who is this? Willis demanded. Identify yourself immediately. I already told you. I'm the driver. I'm the reason for the stop. And I'm still here. I've been here for... The voice changed, became multiple voices speaking in unison, overlapping. For 72 minutes, for 16 minutes, for 43 minutes, for 9 days, for 17 seconds, for all time, for no time at all. The breathing sound intensified, and underneath it I could now hear other sounds. Car doors opening and closing, footsteps on pavement, multiple conversations happening simultaneously, radio chatter, all of it layered, overlapping, becoming a cacophony of sound. And through it all, Martinez's voice screaming, "Make it stop, please. We've been here for so long. We keep reliving the same moment, over and over. I can't remember what came before. I can't remember anything except this stop, this moment, this minute, please." The transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by silence. Then, very quietly, almost a whisper, Kowalski's voice. "Dispatch. We're still on the line. We never disconnected. We can't disconnect. The call is still active. The stop is still happening. We're still here." I looked at my 911 call log, and for the first time, there it was. An active call from Unit 217. Call time, 1:04 a.m. Duration, 01:58:47. 1 hour, 58 minutes, 47 seconds. And counting. At 3:30 a.m., Morrison made the call to evacuate the dispatch center. Not because of any immediate danger. We were miles away from Riverside Road. But because things were starting to happen in the dispatch center itself that nobody could explain. It started small. The GPS tracking for Unit 217 began showing multiple icons. Not just one patrol car, but 7, then 12, then 23 icons, all clustered around the same location on Riverside Road. Each one showing a slightly different timestamp. 1:04 a.m., 1:36 a.m., 2:57 a.m., and other times too. Times that didn't correspond to when any units had actually been there. Then the radio system started malfunctioning. We'd hear transmissions from Unit 217, from Martinez and Kowalski, but the timestamps on the recordings didn't match when we'd actually received them. We'd hear a transmission, log it at 3:15 a.m., but when we'd play back the recording, the system would show it had been recorded at 1:04 a.m., or sometimes at times that hadn't happened yet. Tommy noticed it first. "Harper, look at this." He pointed at his screen. The CAD system was showing a call log entry that neither of us had created. It read, "Officer needs assistance, Unit 217, Riverside Road, 1:04 a.m." But underneath it, another entry. "Officer needs assistance, Unit 217, Riverside Road, 1:04 a.m., and another, and another. The same entry, repeated dozens of times, all with the same timestamp, filling the screen. "I didn't enter those," Tommy said. "Neither did I." We watched as more entries appeared, populating themselves in real time. Same call, same location, same time. Over and over. Morrison was on the phone with county administration, trying to explain a situation that defied explanation. I could hear frustration in his voice as he struggled to make them understand. Then the lights flickered. Not unusual. Old building, old wiring. But they flickered in a pattern. On, off, on, off, on. 5 times. Pause. Then 5 times again. Tommy was counting. 5 flickers. 5 missing people now. Martinez, Kowalski, Reynolds, and 2 state troopers went to check on the situation at 317. They haven't reported back. I checked the GPS. 5 unit icons, all clustered at that same location, all showing as stationary, all with timestamps that didn't match. The radio crackled. "Dispatch, this is Trooper Matthews. We're stuck. We can't leave. We arrived at the scene at 317 to check on the patrol vehicle, and now we can't. Every time we try to walk away, we're back where we started. It's 317. It keeps being 317. Please send help." Before Morrison could respond, another voice. "Dispatch, Trooper Chen. Confirming Matthews' report. We're trapped in some kind of temporal loop. We've been here for..." A pause. My watch says 4 minutes, but it feels like we've been here for hours. We can see the other officers. Martinez, Kowalski, Reynolds. They're all here, but they're existing in their own time bubbles. Martinez is still conducting a traffic stop. Reynolds is still walking toward a vehicle we can't see. They're moving, but they're stuck. Looping. Repeating the same actions over and over. The distorted voice cut through. 5 officers. 5 different times. All trapped at the same location. The stop is growing. The stop is consuming. Soon, there will be more. "No," Morrison said into the radio. "No more units respond to that location. Nobody goes near Riverside Road. That's an order." "The order is too late," the distorted voice said. "The stop exists in all times. You've already sent more units. You just haven't experienced it yet." "That doesn't make any sense," Tommy muttered. But even as he said it, the GPS screen updated. A new unit icon appeared at the Riverside Road location. Unit 209. But Unit 209 was supposed to be on the south side of town, miles away. I grabbed the radio. "Unit 209, what's your location?" Officer Grant's voice came back, confused. "Dispatch, I'm on patrol on Madison Avenue near the high school. Why?" "Copy. Stand by." But the GPS still showed Unit 209 at Riverside Road, with a timestamp of 4:42 a.m., an hour in the future. "It's showing future units," Tommy said, his voice breaking. "Units that haven't been sent yet. Units that will be sent. Or," I said quietly, "units that have been sent in some other timeline, some other version of tonight where we made different decisions." The phone on my desk rang. Not the 911 line, my direct desk line, the one that only other county offices and departments have the number to. I picked it up. "Dispatch, Harper speaking." Static, that same background noise, wind, water, breathing. Then my own voice. "Dispatch, Harper speaking." My blood ran cold. "Hello?" I said. "Hello?" My voice echoed back, but with a delay. And underneath it, I could hear other sounds. The dispatch center, radio chatter, typing, everything that was happening around me right now, but playing back through the phone. "Harper, hang up," Morrison said. I did. Slammed the phone down. It rang again immediately. "Don't answer it," Tommy said. I didn't, but we could hear it ringing, and ringing, and ringing. Then all the phones in the dispatch center started ringing at once. The 911 lines, the desk phones, even Morrison's cell phone in his pocket. All of them ringing in unison. Morrison pulled his phone out and looked at the screen. His face went white. "What?" I asked. He turned the phone so I could see. Incoming call from himself. The caller ID showed his own name and number. He rejected the call. It rang again immediately. Same caller ID. "This is impossible," he whispered. Tommy's computer screen flickered, then changed. Instead of the CAD system, it showed what looked like security camera footage, but not from our building, from Riverside Road. We could see Unit 217's patrol car, or rather, multiple overlapping versions of it, phasing in and out of existence, and figures around it, officers, civilians, all moving in strange, jerky patterns, some forward, some backward, some frozen mid-motion. "I didn't pull up that footage," Tommy said. "I don't even know where that feed is coming from." My screen changed too. Same footage, but from a different angle. And I could hear audio now, coming through my computer speakers. That cacophony of overlapping voices, radio transmissions, car doors, footsteps, all layered on top of each other. And through it all, a constant sound, the ticking of a clock. Or hundreds of clocks, all slightly out of sync. Morrison made the decision. "We're evacuating, now. Everyone out. We'll run dispatch from the backup center." "The backup center's 15 miles away," I said. "It'll take at least 20 minutes to get there and get it operational. What about active calls? What about units in the field? We'll figure it out, but we're not staying here. Whatever's happening on Riverside Road, it's spreading. This building is being affected." He was right. The lights were flickering constantly now, no longer in patterns, but randomly. The computers kept showing images and data we hadn't accessed. The phones wouldn't stop ringing, and the temperature had dropped. I could see my breath suddenly, even though it was still autumn, not nearly cold enough for that. "Grab the essential equipment and let's go," Morrison ordered. Tommy and I started unplugging our laptops, gathering the portable radios, anything we'd need to run dispatch remotely. Morrison was on his phone, calling the backup center, telling them to prep the facility for immediate activation. That's when we heard it. Footsteps in the hallway outside the dispatch center. Heavy boots on linoleum, multiple sets of footsteps getting closer. We all froze. "Who else is in the building?" Tommy whispered. "Nobody," Morrison said. "We're the only ones on night shift." The footsteps got closer. I could hear radio chatter now too, coming from the hallway. Police radios, transmitting the same overlapping voices we'd been hearing from Unit 217. The door to the dispatch center opened. Nobody came in, but the footsteps continued. We could hear them entering the room, walking across the floor, even though we couldn't see anyone. The invisible footsteps walked right past me. I felt a rush of cold air, felt something brush against my arm. The footsteps moved to Tommy's console and stopped. We watched, I swear we watched, as Tommy's keyboard began typing by itself. Letters appearing on the screen. Unit 217 requesting backup, Riverside Road officer in distress unable to clear from stop. Please send assistance. "Jesus Christ," Tommy breathed. The typing continued, faster now. The same message over and over, filling the screen. Morrison grabbed me and Tommy. "Out, now! Leave everything, just get out." We ran for the door, leaving our laptops, our equipment, everything. I heard Morrison on his radio as we fled down the hallway. "All units, dispatch centers being evacuated to the backup facility. Stand by for further instructions." Behind us, I could hear more footsteps in the dispatch center. Dozens of them, all walking around, all accompanied by that radio chatter, that overlapping cacophony of voices. We burst out of the building into the parking lot. The cold night air hit my face, and I realized I was shaking. "What the hell was that?" Tommy gasped. Morrison was pale, but his voice was steady. "We're dealing with some kind of temporal contamination. The event on Riverside Road is spreading backward through time and outward through space. It's affecting our equipment, our building, possibly us." "That sounds insane," I said. "Then explain what we just experienced." I couldn't. We got in Morrison's car and drove to the backup dispatch center, a small facility on the east side of the county that we kept for emergencies. By the time we got there and got the systems online, it was 4:17 a.m. I immediately checked the GPS tracking. Every unit in our department was now showing at Riverside Road. Every single one. Even the ones that had been on the other side of the county. Even Morrison's vehicle, which we'd just driven. Even the backup units that were off duty and parked at the station. All of them showing at the same location, with different timestamps, all clustered around that one point on Riverside Road where this had started. "They're all trapped," Tommy said. "Every unit, every officer, all pulled into the same temporal anomaly." Morrison tried to reach the state police, but the phone lines were acting strangely. He'd dial, it would connect, but instead of the state police dispatcher, he'd hear himself speaking. Conversations we'd had earlier that night, playing back in wrong order, fragments of sentences mixed together. I pulled up the 911 call log. The active call from Unit 217 was still there. Still connected. Duration 03:13:29. 3 hours, 13 minutes, 29 seconds. I clicked on it, tried to bring up details. The screen glitched, then showed something that made my stomach drop. The call wasn't coming from Martinez's phone. It wasn't coming from any phone. The source location showed as Dispatch Center, Console 1. That was my console, the one I'd been sitting at all night. The call was coming from inside our dispatch center. Or, I realized with growing horror, it had always been coming from there, for 3 hours. While I was sitting right there answering other calls, talking to other units, the whole time there had been an open line. A connection that I hadn't initiated, hadn't answered, hadn't even known existed. "Morrison," I said slowly, I think I'm the one who called them, or will call them, or am calling them. I don't know how to say it." He looked at my screen, read the call source, and his face went even paler than before. "That's impossible. You've been with us the whole time. Have I? Or has some version of me been on that call the whole time? Another me, existing in another moment, making that call." The radio crackled. All of us jumped. Martinez's voice. "Dispatch, Unit 217. We're still here. We've been here for so long. I don't know how long anymore. Days, weeks. My watch says it's been 4 hours, but it feels like we've lived years. We keep repeating. We keep looping. And now, there are so many of us. So many versions. I can see myself conducting the same traffic stop from 100 different angles. 100 different moments, all happening at once, all trapped in the same space. Martinez, this is Morrison. We're working on getting you out." "You can't get us out, Sergeant. Don't you understand? There is no out. There's only the stop, the eternal stop. We're part of it now. We've always been part of it. We'll always be part of it." "That's not true. We'll find a way. You're already part of it too," Martinez said, and his voice was distant, hollow. "You just don't know it yet. The stop doesn't just exist in one place. It exists everywhere we are, everywhere we've been. It's spreading backward through time and forward through time. It started at 1:04 a.m., but it's also always existed. It was here before we arrived. It'll be here after we leave, except we never leave. We never arrived. We're always here." The radio went silent. I looked at Tommy. He looked at me. Morrison was standing very still, his hand on his radio, his face unreadable. "Check the GPS," he said quietly. I pulled it up. The backup dispatch center, the building we were currently in, was showing on the map at Riverside Road. "No," Tommy whispered. "No, that's wrong. We're here. We're miles away from there." But the GPS disagreed. According to the system, our current location was Riverside Road, near Route 9, the same location where Unit 217 had been stuck for the last 3 hours. The lights in the backup center flickered, and from somewhere in the building, I heard footsteps. The footsteps weren't coming from the hallway this time. They were coming from everywhere at once, above us, below us, all around us, like the building itself was filled with invisible people, all walking simultaneously, their steps echoing through walls and floor and ceiling. Morrison grabbed his radio. "All units, this is Sergeant Morrison. If anyone can hear this transmission, evacuate to..." He stopped. Evacuate to where? Because where could we go? If the GPS said we were already at Riverside Road, if the anomaly was spreading through space and time, consuming every location and every moment that had any connection to Unit 217's original stop, then nowhere was safe. Tommy was backing toward the door. "We need to leave. We need to get out of here." "And go where?" I asked, but I was already moving with him. Morrison followed, and the three of us made it to the parking lot. His car was where we'd left it 10 minutes ago, but when I looked at it, something was wrong. The car was flickering, solid one moment, translucent the next, exactly like Unit 217's patrol car had been doing on Riverside Road. "Don't get in that car," I said. "It's the only way out of here," Morrison replied. "It's already infected, contaminated, whatever you want to call it. Look at it." We watched as the car phased in and out of existence. When it was transparent, we could see through it to the parking lot beyond, but we could also see something else, shapes inside the car. Figures in the front seats. They looked like us, like Morrison in the driver's seat, like me and Tommy in the back. But the figures weren't moving, just sitting there frozen, like photographs. "Those are us," Tommy said, his voice breaking. "That's us in the car, but we're not in the car. We're standing here. How can we be in two places at once?" "We're seeing another time," I said. "Another version of this moment. Maybe a future version where we do get in the car, or a past version where we already got in. Time is collapsing around us." Morrison's radio crackled. "Sergeant Morrison, this is State Sergeant Willis. We've lost contact with all our units in your county. Requesting immediate status update." Morrison keyed his radio. "Willis, where are you?" "We're still on scene at Riverside Road. But Sergeant, something's happening. The anomaly is expanding. We can see it spreading. Like a ripple in water, but it's distorting reality as it goes. Buildings are flickering in and out. Roads are appearing and disappearing. And we can hear voices, thousands of voices all talking at once. You need to evacuate that area immediately." We tried. Every direction we drive, we end up back at the same spot. We've driven 10 miles south, and somehow we're still here. We drove north, still here, east, west, doesn't matter. The road just loops back on itself. We're trapped. The distorted voice cut through. "Everyone is trapped. Everyone who responded is now part of the stop. Everyone who called in is part of the stop. Everyone who logged it, who documented it, who thought about it, all part of the stop. The stop is not a place. The stop is a state of being, a moment that never ends because it never began." "Who are you?" Morrison shouted into the radio. "What do you want?" "I already told you. I'm the driver. The one Martinez pulled over at 1:04 a.m. The reason for the stop." "What did he stop you for?" "Broken taillight, routine traffic stop. But when he ran my license, something went wrong. The system froze. It couldn't process my information, because my information didn't exist in a linear timeline. I exist in all times simultaneously. I'm the driver who was stopped yesterday, I'm the driver who will be stopped tomorrow. I'm the driver who is being stopped right now, forever, in an eternal present. Tommy was shaking his head. That's not possible. People can't exist outside of time, can't they? The voice replied. Then explain me. Explain how I've been sitting in my car on Riverside Road for 3 hours while also never having arrived. Explain how Martinez has been conducting the same traffic stop for over 100 iterations while his watch claims only 4 minutes have passed. Explain how you're standing in a parking lot that your GPS says doesn't exist. I looked at my watch. It read 4:42 a.m. I looked at Tommy's watch. It read 1:04 a.m. I looked at Morrison's watch. It read 3:17 a.m. 3 different times. All of us standing together, experiencing different temporal coordinates. We're desynchronizing, I said. Our individual timelines are coming apart. Morrison checked his watch, saw the impossible time and swore. How do we fix this? How do we stop it? You don't, the distorted voice said. The stop can't be stopped. It can only expand. It's already consumed 5 officers, then 7, then 12. Soon it will be dozens, hundreds, the entire county, all existing in the same eternal moment of a traffic stop that never concludes. My phone rang. I pulled it out, looked at the screen. Incoming call from my own number. I answered it anyway, maybe out of curiosity, maybe because nothing mattered anymore. Hello, I said. Harper, don't go back to the dispatch center, my own voice said through the phone. It's too late for us. We're already part of it. We've been part of it since the first call came in. Since 1:04 a.m. We've been living in the loop this whole time without realizing it. What are you talking about? I'm standing in a parking lot. I evacuated the dispatch center. Did you? Or are you still sitting at your console taking that call from Unit 217, the call that's been active for 3 hours? Check your call log. With shaking hands, I opened my phone and checked the active calls. There it was. Unit 217. Active call, duration. 03:38:11. 3 hours, 38 minutes. But that was impossible. I hadn't been on a call. I'd been answering routine calls all night, dealing with the situation as it developed, evacuating the building. Or had I? I tried to remember the night's events clearly. We'd gotten the calls from Unit 217, multiple traffic stops, then the strange transmissions, then more units getting trapped, then evacuating. But as I tried to recall the sequence, the memories felt slippery, uncertain, like I was remembering a dream rather than actual events. You're in the loop, my voice said through the phone. We all are. We've been reliving the same sequence of events over and over, with slight variations each time. Sometimes we evacuate. Sometimes we stay. Sometimes we call for backup earlier, sometimes later. But it always ends the same way, with all of us trapped at 1:04 a.m., forever conducting that first traffic stop. That can't be true, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. Look at Morrison's car again. Really look at it. I did. The car was still flickering between solid and transparent, but now I could see more details in the transparent phase. The figures inside weren't just sitting there, they were moving. Morrison was starting the engine. Tommy was reaching for his seatbelt. I was looking at my phone. We were getting in the car. We had gotten in the car. We would get in the car. All 3 time frames existing simultaneously. The stop isn't just on Riverside Road, my voice explained. It's everywhere that has any connection to the original stop. The dispatch center is in the stop. The backup center is in the stop. Morrison's car is in the stop. We're in the stop. We've been in it since the moment we first took Martinez's call. How do we get out? I asked desperately. We don't. There is no out. There's only deeper in. The call disconnected. I looked at Tommy and Morrison. They were both on their phones now, talking to themselves. Having the same conversation I just had, presumably. When they hung up, we all just stood there looking at each other, the weight of understanding settling over us. "We're not in the parking lot," Morrison said quietly. "We're still in the dispatch center. We never left. This is just another iteration of the loop, another version of the same events, playing out slightly differently." "How many times have we done this?" Tommy asked. "I don't know. Hundreds? Thousands? Time doesn't work normally inside the stop." My radio crackled. "Dispatch, Unit 217, we need you to understand something. The stop isn't malicious. It's not trying to trap people. It just exists. A moment that became unstuck from the timeline, a bubble of frozen time that keeps expanding, consuming other moments as it grows." "Martinez," I said into the radio. "Is that you?" I don't know who I am anymore. I might be Martinez. I might be the driver. I might be you. Inside the stop, identity becomes fluid. We're all just consciousness trapped in an eternal present. There has to be a way to collapse it, to end the loop. Why would you want to? Outside the stop, time moves forward. People age. People die. Things end. Inside the stop, nothing ends, nothing changes. We exist forever in this single moment. Isn't that a form of immortality? "It's a form of hell," Morrison said into his radio. "Is it? Or have you just not accepted it yet? Give it time, you'll see. After a few thousand iterations, you'll start to appreciate the beauty of it. The perfect, crystallized moment, repeating forever." I felt something shift then, a change in perspective. Like an optical illusion suddenly revealing its second image. Because Martinez was right. How many times had we lived through this night? How many times had we stood in this parking lot having this same conversation, coming to the same realization? And each time we'd resisted. We'd tried to escape. We'd looked for solutions. But what if we stopped resisting? What if we accepted it? I looked at my watch again. Still 4:42 a.m. I looked at Tommy's, still 1:04 a.m., Morrison's, still 3:17 a.m., 3 different times, all equally real, all equally present. "We should check on the units," I heard myself say. "We need to get back to dispatch, coordinate the response." Morrison nodded. "You're right. We've got officers in the field who need support." We started walking back toward the building. I knew, somewhere in my consciousness, that we'd done this before. That we'd walked this path dozens of times. That each time we'd reached the dispatch center, we'd found it empty, or full of invisible footsteps, or full of multiple versions of ourselves, all working different calls from different timelines. But it didn't matter. Because we were dispatchers. We had a job to do. Unit 217 needed backup. Officers were trapped. We had to help them. We had to answer the call that had been active for 3 hours, or 4 hours, or no time at all. The call that had never begun and would never end. As we walked, I became aware of multiple versions of myself walking alongside me. Translucent figures like ghosts, all walking in the same direction. Some were slightly ahead, some slightly behind. Different iterations from different loops, all converging on the same destination. The dispatch center. The eternal dispatch center, where Unit 217 was still on the line, where they would always be on the line. Inside, I sat down at my console. The same console I'd been sitting at all night, or forever. Time had lost meaning. The active call was still there on my screen. Unit 217. Duration 03:52:47. I clicked on it, put on my headset. "Unit 217, this is dispatch. Do you copy? Static, breathing. That familiar background noise, then Martinez's voice. We copy, dispatch. We've been waiting for you. What's your status? We're still on the stop. We're still here. We'll always be here. And now you're here too. Welcome. I looked around the dispatch center. Tommy was at his console, taking a call. Morrison was in his office, on the phone. Everything looked normal. Everything looked like it always had. But I could see the translucent figures now. Dozens of them, hundreds. All of us, all the versions of ourselves from all the iterations of the loop, all existing in the same space, all working the same calls, all living the same moment. Forever. Dispatch Unit 217. We need you to do something for us. What is it? When the next call comes in, the one at 1:04 a.m., you need to answer it. You need to take that call and dispatch us to that location. Because if you don't, the loop doesn't begin. And if the loop doesn't begin, we don't exist. None of this exists. But the loop has already begun. We're living in it right now. Are we? Or are we living in the moment before it begins? The moment where it's still possible to not answer that call, to not dispatch Unit 217, to let that broken taillight drive away into the night? I thought about it, tried to remember. Had I already answered that first call? Or was I still waiting for it to come in? My phone rang. I looked at the caller ID. 911. No caller ID. This was it. The first call. 1:04 a.m. The call that would start everything. Or had it already started? Was I remembering the past or experiencing the future? Was there a difference anymore? I answered the call. 911, what's your emergency? A male voice, calm, steady. Yes, I'd like to report a vehicle with a broken taillight. It's heading north on Riverside Road near Route 9. Looks dangerous. Can you describe the vehicle, sir? A silver sedan. Can't make out the plate number from here, but the taillight is definitely out. Someone should stop them before they cause an accident. Copy that, sir. We'll send a unit to check it out. Can I get a callback number? He gave me a number. I logged it. Thanked him. Ended the call. Then I keyed my radio. Unit 217, are you available for a traffic stop? Martinez's voice came back immediately. Fresh, alert, not yet worn down by hours of temporal looping. Unit 217 is available, dispatch. Unit 217, we have a report of a vehicle with an equipment violation, northbound on Riverside Road near Route 9. Silver sedan, broken taillight. Copy dispatch. We're heading there now. I logged the dispatch, noted the time, 1:04 a.m. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I had done this before, that I would do this again, that I was doing it now and had always been doing it, and would always continue to do it. The loop had no beginning and no end. It simply existed. A closed circle of time, containing all of us who had ever been connected to it. I looked at my screen. The active call from Unit 217 was still there. Duration, 04:11:03. 4 hours, 11 minutes, 3 seconds, and counting. My name is Michael Garrett, and I've been a 911 dispatcher for 6 years. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand that I was good at my job, reliable, level-headed, the kind of person who doesn't panic when things go wrong, who can talk someone through a crisis without losing composure. My supervisor used to say I had the perfect voice for dispatch, calm, steady, reassuring. I don't know if that's still true. I don't know if I still have a voice at all, or if what comes out of my mouth now is just an echo of something that already happened, or will happen, or is happening somewhere else, in some other version of this moment. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning, or what I thought was the beginning. It was a Wednesday night in late September. I came on shift at 11 p.m., relieving Davis, who'd been working since 3 in the afternoon. The dispatch center was quiet. Just me and Rachel working the floor, with Supervisor Thornton in his office catching up on paperwork. Rachel had been dispatching for about 2 years. Good kid, enthusiastic, still treated every call like it mattered. I envied that about her. After 6 years, most calls blended together for me. Domestic disturbances, noise complaints, traffic accidents, welfare checks. The same situations, different addresses, different names, over and over. Quiet night, Rachel said as I logged into my console. I gave her a look. Don't say that. She laughed. Come on, Garrett. You don't actually believe saying it makes things worse, do you? I believe in not tempting fate. The first 2 hours of the shift were exactly what she'd predicted. Quiet. A few routine calls. Someone's car alarm going off on Maple Street. A suspicious person report that turned out to be a neighbor taking out trash. A drunk driver called in by a concerned citizen. Unit 4 found the vehicle and conducted a field sobriety test. Nothing unusual. At 1:17 a.m., I took a break to grab coffee from the break room. The coffee was old, probably been sitting there since the afternoon shift, but I drank it anyway. Caffeine was caffeine. When I came back to my console, I had a missed call notification on the 911 system. That was strange. The system was designed so that if I didn't answer within 3 rings, it would automatically roll over to Rachel's console, or to the backup system if both of us were unavailable. A call shouldn't just miss. I clicked on the notification to see the details. Incoming call, 1:16 a.m. Duration, 0 status. Disconnected. Caller ID, no data. Location, no data. The call had come in while I was in the break room. About 30 seconds, maybe a minute at most. But according to the log, it had disconnected immediately. 0 duration. Like someone had called and hung up before the first ring completed. I shrugged it off. Pocket dial, probably, or a kid playing with a phone. Happened all the time. I settled back into my routine. At 1:34 a.m., Rachel dispatched Unit 7 to a domestic disturbance on the east side. At 1:52 a.m., I took a call from an elderly woman who thought she heard someone trying to break into her garage. Unit 3 checked it out, found a raccoon. At 2:08 a.m., Rachel handled a noise complaint. At 2:23 a.m., my console lit up with another incoming 911 call. I pressed the button. 911, what's your emergency? Silence on the other end. Not dead air. I could hear something. Background noise. The hum of electronics maybe, or air conditioning. A low, steady sound. Hello? This is 911 dispatch. Can you hear me? More silence. But that background noise continued. And now I could hear something else too. Very faint. Breathing. Sir or ma'am, if you can hear me, please respond. Are you in danger? Still nothing. The breathing continued, steady and even. Not panicked or distressed, just breathing. If you can't speak, press a button on your phone to let me know you can hear me. I waited 10 seconds, 20 seconds. The breathing continued, but no button presses, no sounds, nothing to indicate the caller was actually there. This happened sometimes. Pocket dials where the person didn't realize they'd called. Medical emergencies where the person had collapsed before they could speak. Or, more often, kids playing with phones, seeing if 911 would really answer, then getting scared and staying silent. I'm going to send an officer to your location to check on you, okay? Stay on the line. I checked the screen for location data. The system used a combination of GPS and cell tower triangulation to pinpoint callers. It wasn't always perfect, but it usually got us within a block or two. The location field was blank. That was unusual, but not unheard of. Sometimes, older phones, or phones with damaged GPS, couldn't transmit location data. I tried pulling up the phone number to see if I could get an address that way. The number showed as unknown. I frowned. The system always captured the caller's number, even if it was blocked or restricted. It was part of the 911 infrastructure. All calls were traceable. That's how the system worked. But this call was showing no number, no location, no data at all. Sir or ma'am, I need you to tell me where you are. Can you tell me your address? The breathing continued. And now, underneath it, I heard something else. A voice. Very quiet, almost whisper faint. Speaking words I couldn't quite make out. I can hear you talking. Can you speak louder? I'm having trouble understanding you. The whisper continued, but I couldn't make out individual words. It sounded like someone speaking from very far away, or through water, and then suddenly, crystal clear, a voice came through. 911, what's your emergency? I froze. That was my voice. That was me saying my standard greeting, the exact words I'd spoken when I answered this call. But I was hearing it come through the phone, from the caller's end. Hello? I said, confused now. Who is this? The voice, my voice, continued. Hello, this is 911 dispatch, can you hear me? It was playing back what I'd said, but with a slight delay, like an echo. Each of my words repeated a few seconds after I spoke them, coming through the phone from whoever, or whatever, was on the other end. This isn't funny, I said. If this is a prank call, you need to know that it's a crime to... This isn't funny, my voice echoed back. If this is a prank call, you need to know that it's a crime to... I disconnected the call. Sat there for a moment, staring at my console, trying to process what had just happened. Rachel looked over at me. Everything okay? Yeah, I said. Just a weird call, someone playing with a voice recorder or something. But even as I said it, I knew that wasn't right. The echo had been too immediate, too perfect. And there had been no mechanical quality to it. No indication of a recording. It had sounded exactly like me speaking in real time. I logged the call as a prank and moved on. At 2:47 a.m., I took a call from a man reporting a suspicious vehicle in his neighborhood. Routine. I dispatched Unit 6 to check it out. They found nothing. The vehicle belonged to someone visiting a resident on that street. At 3:15 a.m., Rachel took a bathroom break. I was alone in the dispatch center, Thornton having retreated to his office an hour earlier. At 3:18 a.m., my console lit up again. Another 911 call. I almost didn't want to answer it. Something about the last weird call had left me unsettled in a way I couldn't quite articulate. But I pressed the button, because that was my job. 911, what's your emergency? That same background noise, that same breathing, and then immediately my voice. 911, what's your emergency? My stomach dropped. Who is this? I demanded. How are you doing this? Who is this? My voice echoed. How are you doing this? Stop it. This is an emergency line. You're breaking the law by... Stop it. This is an emergency line. You're breaking the law by... I was about to disconnect again when I heard something else. Underneath my echoed words, underneath the breathing, there was another sound, very faint. It sounded like typing. Someone typing on a keyboard. And I realized with a chill that I could hear that same sound in the dispatch center. The quiet click, click, click of keys. But I wasn't typing. and Rachel wasn't back from her break yet. I looked around the dispatch center. Empty, except for me. The sound of typing continued, coming from both the phone and somewhere in the room. "Hello," I said into the phone. "If someone's there, you need to identify yourself." The typing stopped. My voice came through the phone, but this time, it wasn't echoing what I'd just said. It was something different. "If someone's there, you need to identify yourself." That was what I'd said. The exact words. But I'd said them 5 seconds ago, not just now. The echo was getting longer. "This isn't funny," I said, but my voice was shaking now. Silence for a moment. Then my voice came back through the phone. "This isn't funny." But the tone was different. This version of me sounded scared. More scared than I'd been when I actually said those words. Like whoever was on the other end was showing me my future fear, not my past words. I disconnected the call and immediately pulled up the call log. 2 calls now from unknown numbers with no data locations, both showing 0 duration, even though I knew I'd been on the line for at least a minute each time. Rachel came back from her break. Did I miss anything? No, I lied, all quiet. But it wasn't quiet, not really. Because even with the call disconnected, I could still hear that faint background noise, that electronic hum. And it was coming from my console speakers, even though no line was active. I checked my system, no active calls showing. But the noise continued. I rebooted my console. The screen went black, then loaded back up. The noise stopped. I breathed a sigh of relief. At 3:47 a.m., I took a legitimate call, a minor traffic accident with no injuries. I dispatched Unit 8 and handled it smoothly, professionally. Everything normal. At 4:03 a.m., another legitimate call, someone's house alarm going off. Unit 2 responded, found the house secure, alarm malfunction. I started to relax. The weird calls had been a glitch, or a prank caller who'd gotten bored. Either way, it seemed to be over. At 4:31 a.m., my console lit up again. I stared at it for a long moment before answering. 911, what's your emergency? My voice came through immediately. 911, what's your emergency? But this time, it wasn't just an echo. This time, the voice on the other end kept talking. I need to report something. There's a dispatcher here and something's wrong with him. He keeps taking the same calls over and over. He doesn't realize it, but he's been answering the same call for the last 3 hours. And each time he answers, he gets a little bit less real. I felt my blood run cold. What are you talking about? I said. Who is this? What are you talking about? Who is this? My voice echoed back. And then, my name is Michael Garrett. I'm a 911 dispatcher, and I think something's happening to me. Something I don't understand. That was my name, my exact name. How do you know my name? I demanded. The voice, my voice, continued, ignoring my question. I've been taking these calls. Strange calls with no caller ID, no location data, and they're playing back my own words. At first I thought it was a prank, but now I'm not so sure. Because the things the voice is saying, the things I'm hearing myself say, they're things I haven't said yet. Things I'm going to say, or things I said in some other version of this conversation. My hands were shaking now. This isn't possible. This isn't possible, my voice agreed. But it's happening anyway. I looked at Rachel. She was focused on her own console, typing something, completely unaware of what was happening at mine. "Rachel!" I called out. She looked up. "Yeah? Do you hear anything strange from my console?" She listened for a moment, then shook her head. "No, why?" I looked back at my screen. The call was still active, timer running. But when I glanced at Rachel's console, which should have shown all active calls in the center, Mine wasn't listed. Like the call existed only on my system. Only for me. "Never mind," I said. Rachel went back to her work. I spoke into the phone quietly. "What do you want?" My voice responded, "I want to understand what's happening. I want to know why I keep receiving calls from myself. I want to know if I'm losing my mind or if this is real. If this is real, then who are you? When are you?" "I'm you, Michael, and I'm calling from—" The voice paused. "I don't know when I'm calling from. My clock says it's 4:31 a.m., September 28th. But I've said that before. I've lived through 4:31 a.m. multiple times tonight. Or maybe I've only lived through it once, and I'm remembering it wrong. Time is getting slippery." I checked my clock. 4:31 a.m., September 28th. "That's what time it is now. Right now." "Is it?" the voice said. "Or is it 1:17 a.m., or 2:23 a.m., or 3:18 a.m.? Maybe it's all of those times. Maybe we're having this conversation in all of those moments simultaneously." I thought back to the missed call at 1:16 a.m., the weird calls at 2:23 and 3:18. The times were familiar, but in a way that made my skin crawl, like they were significant for a reason I didn't yet understand. "Why are you calling me?" I asked. "Because I need to warn you," my voice said. "Something's going to happen, or it's already happened, or it's happening right now, and you just don't see it yet. The calls aren't random, they're markers, points in time that are becoming unstuck, and you're at the center of it." "The center of what?" "I don't know, but it started with that first missed call, the one at 1:16. That's when things began to change. That's when the loop started forming." "What loop?" The voice didn't answer directly. Instead it said, "Check your call log. Really look at it. Look at all the calls you've taken tonight." I pulled up my call log on the screen, scrolling through the list of calls from my shift. Everything looked normal at first glance. Times, durations, dispositions, all logged correctly. But then I noticed something odd. The call at 2:08 a.m., the one Rachel had handled, the noise complaint, was showing in my log too. Like I'd taken it, even though I distinctly remembered Rachel handling that one. And the call at 1:52 a.m., the woman with the raccoon in her garage. The notes I'd written said I'd dispatched Unit 3, but when I pulled up Unit 3's activity log for the night, there was no record of that call. I scrolled back further. The call at 1:34 a.m. that Rachel had dispatched, the domestic disturbance, was also in my log, with notes in my handwriting. But I hadn't taken that call. I was sure I hadn't. Wasn't I? I tried to remember the night clearly. I'd come on shift at 11 p.m. Rachel was already here. We'd worked together. She'd taken some calls, I'd taken some calls, that's how it worked. But as I tried to recall specific details, the memories felt fuzzy, uncertain, like trying to remember a dream after waking up. Had Rachel taken those calls? Or had I? Had Rachel been here at all? I looked over at her console. She was there, typing, wearing her headset. Real, solid, present. But something felt wrong about the image. Like I was looking at a photograph instead of a person. Static, unchanging. "Rachel," I called out. She didn't respond, just kept typing. "Rachel?" Still nothing. I got up and walked over to her console. She didn't acknowledge me, didn't look up. Just kept typing the same motion over and over, her fingers hitting the same keys in the same rhythm. I reached out to touch her shoulder. My console beeped. Incoming call. I looked back at my desk. The console was lit up, call waiting. When I looked back at Rachel, she was looking at me. "Did you say something?" she asked. I called your name twice. You didn't hear me?" She frowned. No, sorry. Must have been focused on this report. What did you need? Nothing, I said, backing away. Never mind. I returned to my console. The call was still waiting. I sat down and answered it. 911, what's your emergency? You're starting to see it now, aren't you? My voice said. The inconsistencies, the gaps, the moments that don't quite line up. What's happening to me? You're becoming unstuck, just like the calls, just like the timestamps. You're existing in multiple moments at once, and your consciousness is starting to notice the overlaps. That's impossible. You keep saying that, but deep down, you know it's not. You know something's wrong. You've known since that first missed call, you just didn't want to admit it. I looked at my screen. The call timer was running. 0437. 4 minutes, 37 seconds. But I'd been on this call for less than 2 minutes. I scrolled up in my call log. There were now 5 calls from unknown showing. Not 3 like I'd thought. 5. And as I watched, a 6th appeared, time-stamped at 4:31 a.m., the time it currently was, the call I was on right now, but the log showed it had already been completed. Duration 0612. Disposition unknown. Possible loop occurrence. I hadn't written that disposition. I hadn't ended the call, but according to the log, the call was already over. Do you see it now? My voice asked. You're not just receiving calls from yourself. You're receiving calls from multiple versions of yourself, from multiple timelines, all converging on this moment. And each time a call comes through, another timeline branches off. Another version of you starts experiencing this same sequence, and eventually, all those versions start bleeding together. How do I stop it? I don't think you can. I think it's already happened. Or it's happening. Or it will happen. The tense doesn't matter anymore because we're outside of linear time now. There has to be a way to fix this, to stop the loop. My voice laughed, and it was a hollow, desperate sound. Fix it. Michael, we're not in a loop. We're the loop. Every call we take, every word we speak, every thought we think, it's all part of the pattern. We're not experiencing time. We're creating it and destroying it simultaneously. The call timer on my screen started counting backward. 0412, 0411, 0410. I have to go, I said. You can't go. There's nowhere to go. We're having this conversation now. We had it an hour ago. We'll have it again in 10 minutes. It's all the same conversation, happening in all times at once. I disconnected the call, or tried to. The line stayed active. My voice continued. You can't disconnect, Michael. The call is coming from inside the dispatch center, from inside your own console, from inside your own mind. I looked at the phone cord, followed it from the handset to the console base. The cord wasn't plugged in. I was holding a disconnected phone, and my voice was still coming through it. Do you understand now? My voice said. We're past the point where physics matters. We're past the point where cause and effect work. We're in the space between moments, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. I dropped the phone. It clattered on the desk. My voice continued speaking, but now it was coming from everywhere, from the console speakers, from the overhead PA system, from the radio, from the air itself. Welcome to 4:31 a.m., Michael. You're going to be here for a very long time. I stood up from my console and backed away, heart pounding. Rachel was still at her desk, typing. But when I really looked at her, I could see that she wasn't just typing. She was repeating the exact same keystroke pattern over and over. 10 keys, pause, 10 keys, pause. The same rhythm, endlessly looping. "Rachel," I said. "Rachel, something's wrong." She didn't look up. I walked over to Thornton's office. The door was closed, but I could see through the window. He was at his desk writing something. His pen moved across paper in steady, regular strokes. I knocked on the door. He didn't respond. I opened the door and walked in. "Thornton, I need to talk to you." He kept writing as if I wasn't there. I looked at what he was writing, the same sentence over and over, filling page after page. Time is 4:31 a.m. Time is 4:31 a.m. Time is 4:31 a.m. Time is 4:31 a.m. "Jesus Christ," I whispered. I left his office and returned to the main dispatch floor. The clock on the wall read 4:31 a.m. I watched it. The second hand moved smoothly, ticking off seconds. But when it reached the end of the minute, instead of clicking to 4:32, it jumped back to 4:31, again and again. 4:31, 4:31:1, 4:31:2, 4:31:59, 4:31 o'clock. An endless minute. A loop within the larger loop. My console started ringing again, and Rachel's, and the backup console, and Thornton's phone in his office, all of them ringing simultaneously, the same shrill tone echoing through the dispatch center. I didn't want to answer, but my feet were moving anyway, carrying me back to my desk. My hand reached out and picked up the phone. 911, what's your emergency? You need to check the call records, my voice said. All of them, every call you've taken tonight. Really look at them. I pulled up the full log on my screen. Every call since 11 p.m. when I'd started my shift. The list was longer than it should have been. Much longer. Dozens of calls, maybe hundreds, all crammed into a 5.5-hour shift. And as I scrolled through them, I started to see patterns. The same addresses appearing multiple times. The same names. The same situations. A domestic disturbance at 742 Walnut Street, logged 7 times. A noise complaint at 1556 Madison Avenue, logged 11 times. A traffic accident at the intersection of 5th and Oak, logged 23 times, but I only remembered handling each call once. Unless I clicked on one of the domestic disturbance calls, pulled up the notes I'd written. They were detailed, thorough. I remembered taking this call. A woman named Jennifer Marsh, calling about her boyfriend threatening her. I dispatched Unit 7. They'd arrived on scene, separated the parties, no arrest made. I clicked on the second domestic disturbance call at the same address. Same name, Jennifer Marsh, same situation, but the notes were slightly different. In this version, I'd dispatched Unit 9 instead of Unit 7, and they had made an arrest. Third call, same address, same name. This time I'd dispatched both Unit 7 and Unit 9, and the woman had refused to press charges. Fourth call. No units dispatched because the caller hung up before I could get details. Fifth call. I'd sent an ambulance because the woman was injured. Each call was similar but different. Like variations on a theme. Different outcomes branching from the same initial situation. "Do you see?" my voice said through the phone. They're not the same call repeated. They're different versions of the same call. Different timelines, different choices, all logged in your system because you experienced all of them. That's not possible. I can only experience one timeline. Can you? Are you sure about that? Because it seems to me like you're experiencing quite a lot of timelines right now, Michael. I closed the call log and opened the personnel file instead, pulled up my own record. My employment history looked normal at first glance. Hired 6 years ago. Steady performance reviews, good marks across the board. But when I checked the date, the current date, it showed September 28th. Just like it should. Except in the margin, someone had written in small text, September 28th, 17th iteration. I clicked on my timesheet for the current pay period. September 28th appeared 17 times, not 17 shifts over different days. 17 entries for the exact same day, all showing 11 o'clock p.m. to 7:00 a.m. I'd worked this same shift 17 times, or I was working it 17 times simultaneously, or the system was breaking down, unable to distinguish between different iterations of the same event. It started with the missed call, my voice explained. 1:16 a.m. Do you remember what you were doing at 1:16? I tried to think back. I was getting coffee in the break room. Were you? Or were you sitting at your console? Or were you in the bathroom? Or were you talking to Rachel? All of those things happened at 1:16 a.m. in different versions, different branches. And when you came back to your console and saw that missed call notification, that's when the timelines started to merge. That's when you started experiencing multiple versions simultaneously. Why? Why would that happen? Because the call at 1:16 wasn't from outside. It was from you, from a future you, or a past you, or a parallel you. It doesn't matter. You called yourself. And when you missed that call, you created a paradox, a loop, and every action you've taken since then has been both the cause and the effect of that loop. I looked at my screen. The active call timer was showing 00:12:34, 12 minutes. But I'd been on the phone for maybe 3 minutes at most. How long have I really been here? I asked. In this timeline, about 5.5 hours. In total, across all timelines, days, weeks, maybe longer. It's hard to measure when all the moments are happening simultaneously. I want to leave. I want to go home. Then leave. Walk out the door, go home. I stood up. Walked toward the exit. Pushed through the door into the hallway. And found myself back at my console, sitting in my chair, phone to my ear. You tried to leave, my voice said. That was timeline number 18. In that one, you made it as far as the parking lot before resetting. Want to try again? What happens if I do nothing? If I just sit here? You're doing that in timeline number 5 and 8 and 12. In those versions, you're just sitting there staring at the screen, waiting for something to change. It doesn't. I put my head in my hands. This can't be real. This has to be a dream, or a mental breakdown, or it's real, Michael. As real as anything can be when you're trapped in a temporal loop of your own creation. Every choice you make creates a new branch. Every branch creates more calls, more versions of yourself, more iterations of the same moment. How do I break the loop? You don't. The loop is self-sustaining. Every attempt to break it just creates another branch, another version, another iteration. You're not trapped in the loop, Michael. You are the loop. My console screen flickered. The call log refreshed, and I saw new entries appearing. Call from self. 4:31 a.m., timeline 19. Call from self. 4:31 a.m., timeline 20. Call from self. 4:31 a.m., timeline 21. More versions, more iterations, all calling in, all trying to understand, all receiving the same answers I was receiving now. How many of me are there? I asked. How many do you think? Count the call logs, count the timelines, count the number of times you've asked that exact question. I scrolled through the logs. Dozens of calls from myself. No, hundreds, all time-stamped at different times throughout the night, but all essentially the same call. Me trying to understand what was happening. Me trying to find a way out. Me failing. In some timelines, you accept it, my voice said. You stop fighting and just exist in the loop. In others, you keep struggling, keep looking for solutions. In a few, you break down completely. In one particularly unpleasant iteration, you try to destroy the console, thinking that will end it. It doesn't. What happened in that timeline? You're still there, still trying to break the equipment, still failing. The loop continues regardless of what you do to the physical objects. Because the loop isn't in the equipment, Michael, it's in you. Rachel's phone rang. She answered it without looking up from her endless typing. 911, what's your emergency? She said. Then, in perfect unison with her, 911, what's your emergency? The voice coming through her phone was mine. I was calling her too. Or some version of me was. Rachel, I called out. Rachel, hang up that phone. She didn't respond, just listened to the phone, nodding occasionally, still typing. You can't save her, my voice said. She's not really there, or she is there, but she's stuck in her own loop. Everyone in this building is caught in their own version of this moment, all existing simultaneously. You're just the only one aware of it. Why me? Why am I the one experiencing this? Because you're the dispatcher. You're the one who answers the calls. You're the nexus point where all the timelines intersect. Every call creates a branch, and you're at the center of all of them, experiencing all of them at once. I looked at the clock. Still 4:31 a.m., still looping. Is there anyone else? Anyone outside this building who knows what's happening? No, the loop is contained to this location, this moment, this set of circumstances. Outside these walls, time is flowing normally. People are living their lives unaware that in this dispatch center time has collapsed into a single, infinite moment. Someone will notice eventually, when I don't come home, when my shift doesn't end. Will they? Or have you already gone home? Are you there right now in another timeline, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the versions of you trapped here? Maybe only some versions of you are stuck. Maybe others escaped. Maybe it doesn't matter because from inside the loop, all possibilities exist simultaneously. My console showed a new notification. Incoming call from self. Answer, yes, no. I clicked no. The call came through anyway. I picked up the phone. 911, what's your emergency? My voice, but different this time. Older, tired. Like someone who'd been awake for days. Michael, it's me. I'm calling from, I don't know when I'm calling from. My clock says it's still 4:31, but I've been here for so long. I've lived through this moment thousands of times, maybe tens of thousands. I've lost count. How long have you been trapped? I don't know. Time doesn't work right here. But I've seen things, patterns in the calls, in the timelines. I think I understand now what's happening. What we did. What did we do? We created a closed temporal loop. A moment that feeds back into itself infinitely. Every call we answer from ourselves creates the conditions for us to call ourselves. Cause and effect collapsed into a single point. There has to be a way to break it. The tired voice, my voice, laughed bitterly. I used to think that too, but I've tried everything. Every possible action, every choice, every variation. They all lead back to the same moment. This moment. 4:31 a.m., the eternal. 4:31. What about the missed call, the one at 1:16? That's where it started. If we could prevent that call, I've tried. In timeline 347, I stayed at my console instead of getting coffee. The call still came through and was missed. In timeline 891, I answered the call immediately. It just moved the starting point to a different time. In timeline 1583, I called in sick and never came to work. The loop found me at home instead. There's no avoiding it, Michael. The loop exists because we exist. As long as we're alive, as long as we're conscious, the loop continues. Then what do? We endure. We exist. We accept that we're no longer moving through time, but that time is moving through us, or around us, or we're moving through ourselves. The semantics stop mattering after a while. I can't accept that. There has to be the call disconnected. I tried to redial. The number connected immediately, but no one answered. Just that background noise, that electronic hum, and underneath it the sound of typing. Thousands of keyboards, all typing the same words, all creating the same logs, all documenting the same moment from different angles. I pulled up my email instead. Thought maybe I could send a message to someone outside the building, alert them to what was happening. The inbox loaded. I had 4,731 unread messages, all from myself, all sent at different times throughout the night, all with the same subject line. Help. Stuck in loop at 4:31 a.m. I opened the most recent one. It was dated September 28th, 4:31 a.m. Written by me, apparently, though I didn't remember writing it. To whoever reads this, I'm trapped in a temporal loop at the dispatch center. Every moment I experience multiple times simultaneously. I've tried to escape, but every action just creates more branches, more versions, more iterations of the same moment. If you're reading this, you might be another version of me, or you might be someone else who's become aware of the loop. Either way, you need to know, the loop is spreading. It started at 1:16 a.m. with a single missed call. Now it's expanded to consume the entire shift, and it's still growing. I've calculated that at the current rate of expansion, the loop will encompass the entire day within the next few iterations, then the entire week, then month, year. Eventually, all of time will collapse into this single moment, and everything everywhere will exist in an eternal 4:31 a.m. I don't know how to stop it, but I'm documenting everything, creating a record, in the hope that some version of me, or someone, will find a solution. Current iteration, 2,807. Current timeline branches, 4,731 estimated time until complete temporal collapse. Unknown. Michael Garrett. I stared at the screen. Iteration 2,847. I'd been through this 847 times? No, that couldn't be right. I'd only experienced the loop starting an hour ago, maybe 2 hours. I'd taken some weird calls, noticed some strange inconsistencies, but as I tried to remember clearly, the memories fractured, split apart. I could remember this same moment from dozens of different angles, hundreds of different perspectives. I'd been at this console. I'd been walking to the door. I'd been talking to Rachel. I'd been in Thornton's office. I'd been on the phone. I'd been away from the phone. All of it happening simultaneously. All of it equally real. All of it bleeding together in my consciousness until I couldn't tell which experiences belonged to which timeline. "Oh God," I whispered. "It's all real. All of it, every iteration, every branch. I'm experiencing all of them at once." My phone rang. I answered it. "Yes," my voice said. "Now you understand." I don't know how long I sat there after that realization hit me. Minutes? Hours? The clock still showed 4:31 a.m., so maybe no time passed at all. Or maybe infinite time passed and the clock couldn't register it. The calls kept coming. My console would light up, I'd answer, and I'd hear myself speaking. Sometimes asking questions, sometimes warning me about what was coming. Sometimes just screaming incoherently as another version of me lost whatever tenuous grip on sanity they'd been maintaining. I learned to distinguish between the different iterations of myself by subtle differences in tone, in phrasing, in the level of exhaustion in my voice. The early versions, the ones still in their first dozen iterations or so, they asked questions, demanded explanations, sought solutions. The middle versions, hundreds of iterations in, they were bargaining, trying to negotiate with the loop itself, as if it were a conscious entity that could be reasoned with. The later versions, thousands deep, they were just tired, resigned, accepting. And the oldest versions, the ones who'd been trapped longest, they didn't speak at all anymore. They'd call in, and I'd hear only that breathing, that endless, steady breathing, as they existed in the loop but no longer fought it, no longer even acknowledged it. I wondered which version I would become eventually. The screamer, the bargainer, the silent breather. My console showed a new notification. Not an incoming call this time, but an automated message. System critical error. Temporal recursion detected. Too many concurrent iterations. Reality buffer overflow. I laughed. The dispatch system was warning me about a reality buffer overflow. Like we were in a computer simulation that was running out of memory. Maybe we were. Maybe that's all this was. A simulation breaking down, unable to process the infinite loops we'd created. Or maybe the universe itself had finite processing power and we'd found a way to overload it. My phone rang again. I answered out of habit now, not even thinking about it. "Michael, I need you to listen carefully," my voice said. This version sounded different. Urgent, alert, not tired like the others. "Which iteration are you?" I asked. "It doesn't matter. I'm calling from a timeline where I figured something out, something important." "Tell me." "The loop isn't random, it's structured. There's a pattern to the calls, to the timelines, to everything. I've been documenting it, tracking it across thousands of iterations, and I've found something." "What?" "The calls aren't coming from different versions of you randomly scattered through time. They're coming sequentially, in order. Every call you receive is from the next iteration in the sequence." "I don't understand." "Listen, right now, you're in what iteration? Check your logs." I pulled up the email I'd read earlier. 2847. "Okay, so when you call yourself, and you will, you'll place a call in a few minutes because you always do. That call will go to iteration 2848, the next you in the sequence. And the call you just received from me, I'm calling from iteration 2846. I'm the previous you. So we're all connected, all in sequence. Exactly. We're not experiencing random chaos. We're experiencing a perfectly ordered progression through infinite iterations. And that means something. What does it mean? It means there might be a first iteration, a starting point, an original you who made the first call that started the whole sequence." My heart rate picked up. And if we can reach that iteration, we might be able to stop it from making the call, break the loop at its origin point. But how? How do I reach an iteration that's 2,847 steps behind me in the sequence? You can't. But collectively, we can. Every version of you who figures this out can pass the message backward. Eventually, it will reach iteration 1. And then what? What does iteration 1 do? Silence on the line. "Hello?" I said. "Are you there?" My voice came back, but it sounded distant now. Fading. I don't know. I didn't get that far in my calculations before the timeline branched, and I became you. But Michael, listen. When you call iteration 2848, tell them what I told you. Keep the chain going. Eventually, the message will reach the beginning. What if iteration 1 doesn't listen? What if they make the call anyway? Then we're trapped forever. But it's the only chance we have. The call disconnected. I sat there, processing what I'd just learned. It made a terrible kind of sense. The loop was sequential, not random. Every version of me was connected to the next in an infinite chain. But who was at the beginning of that chain? And more importantly, could they be reached? I looked at my console, at the phone, at the screen showing thousands of call logs, all from myself, all documenting this same endless moment from different perspectives. I had to make the call, had to pass the message forward to iteration 2848, had to trust that eventually, after thousands more iterations, the message would loop back around to the beginning. But as I reached for the phone, something stopped me. A terrible thought. What if there was no iteration one? What if the loop had no beginning? What if we were trapped in a causal loop where effect created cause created effect, with no starting point, no ending point, just an eternal circle of calls creating calls creating calls? What if the message I was about to pass forward had already been passed forward thousands of times, had already looped back to what we thought was the beginning, only to find that the beginning was just another middle? My console lit up. Another incoming call. I answered it. Michael, it's me. I'm calling from iteration 2848. I know what you're about to tell me. I know about the chain, about passing the message backward. But I need you to know something else. What? I reached out to iteration 2849. And they reached out to 2830. And they reached out to 2851. We've been doing this for hundreds of iterations now, each of us passing the message forward, each of us hoping it will somehow loop back to the beginning. And it doesn't loop back, Michael. The chain just keeps going. There is no iteration one. Or if there is, it's infinitely far away, because the iterations don't count down to one. They count up to infinity. We're not progressing toward a beginning. We're progressing away from it, and it's receding faster than we can chase it. That's not possible. It's not just possible. It's what's happening. Every time we make a call, we create a new iteration. Every new iteration has to make a call. Every call creates another iteration. The chain doesn't end because it can't end. Ending would require a final iteration that doesn't make a call. But every iteration makes a call because that's what we do. That's what we are now. I felt something break inside me. Some fundamental piece of hope that I'd been clinging to without even realizing it. So we're trapped forever. There's no way out. There's no way out, my future self confirmed. But there is something else. Something I've discovered. What? If you stop trying to escape, if you stop fighting the loop, something changes. You start to perceive it differently. Not as a prison, but as a state of being. You're no longer trapped in time. You're existing outside of time. Simultaneously experiencing all moments, all possibilities, all versions of yourself. That sounds like hell. At first, yes. But after a few thousand iterations, it becomes something else. You start to understand that you're not Michael Garrett anymore. You're every Michael Garrett. Every version, every choice, every possibility. You're a multiplicity, a gestalt consciousness spread across infinite timelines. I don't want that. I want to be me, living one life in one timeline. That's not an option anymore. But this is, you can resist and suffer, or you can accept and transcend isn't the right word, but it's close. You're insane. All of this has driven you insane. Maybe, or maybe I'm the first one to truly understand what we've become. The call disconnected. I put my head down on my desk. I wanted to cry, but no tears came. I was too exhausted too overwhelmed, too broken. Around me, the dispatch center continued its strange parody of normal operation. Rachel typing her endless loop of keystrokes, Thornton writing his endless sentence, the clock ticking through its endless minute. All of us trapped in our own versions of hell, all existing in the same impossible moment. My console lit up again, and again and again. 10 incoming calls, 20, 50, all of them from myself, all of them from different iterations, all of them ringing simultaneously. I started answering them randomly, switching between calls, hearing fragments of conversations with myself. Need to tell you about iteration 5000, something changes at 5000, figured out a way to overlay the timelines. If we can synchronize, don't listen to iteration 3742. He's lying. He's trying to. The dispatch center isn't real. None of this is real. We're actually found other people, other dispatchers in other cities. They're all experiencing. The loop is spreading. It's not just us anymore. It's consuming. Managed to reach 911 in another timeline. Tried to warn them, but not your fault, Michael. You have to know it's not your fault. It is your fault. You made the first call. You started all of this. There is no first call. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The voices overlapped, talking over each other. All of them mine. All of them saying different things. All of them desperate and tired and broken and insane. I disconnected all the calls, ripped the phone cord out of the console, turned off the speakers, shut down the computer. It didn't matter. The voices continued, not through the equipment anymore, but through the air itself, through the walls, through my own mind. Because the calls weren't coming through the phone system. They were coming through me. I was the phone system now. I was the network connecting all the iterations. I was the loop made manifest. I stood up and walked to the center of the dispatch room. I want out, I said to the empty air, to the universe, to whatever force had created this nightmare. I want out of this loop. I want to go back to being one person in one timeline. Please. No response. Just the ticking of the clock. The clicking of Rachel's keyboard. The scratching of Thornton's pen. Please! I screamed. The lights flickered. And then, for the first time since this all started, something changed. The clock moved. Not back to 4:31 like it had been doing. Forward. 4:32 qua. Time was moving again. I felt a surge of hope. Maybe it was ending. Maybe the loop was breaking. Maybe. My console lit up with a new message. Temporal recursion resolved. Loop stabilized. New baseline established. Time resumed at 4:32 a.m. 4:32 a.m. Not 4:31. The loop had ended. But as I stood there feeling the relief wash over me, I noticed something. My call log was still showing thousands of calls from myself. My email still had thousands of messages from other iterations. And when I looked at Rachel, really looked at her, I could see something I hadn't noticed before. She wasn't alone at her console. There were dozens of her. Hundreds. All sitting in the same chair, all slightly translucent, all typing slightly different variations of the same keystrokes, all existing simultaneously in the same space. I looked at my hands. They were flickering, phasing between solid and translucent. And when they were translucent, I could see through them to other hands beneath. My hands, but from different iterations, all existing in the same physical space. The loop hadn't ended. It had stabilized. All the iterations, all the versions, all the timelines, they hadn't collapsed back into one. They'd merged, overlapped, coexisted. We were all still here, all of us. Every version of Michael Garrett that had ever existed in the loop. all occupying the same space, the same moment, the same reality. Time was moving forward again, yes, but we were all moving forward together. Thousands of me, all conscious, all aware, all experiencing the same moment from slightly different perspectives. The multiplicity my future self had told me about. It had happened. I looked at the clock. 4:32 a.m. I looked at my watch. 4:31 a.m. I looked at the computer. 4:33 a.m. Different times. All correct. All real. Because we were existing in all of them simultaneously. God help me, I whispered. And from all around me, from the overlapping versions of myself that I could now see, that I was now part of, I heard my own voice whisper back, God help us all. Time moved forward, but not in any way I recognized anymore. The clock showed 4:32, then 4:33, then 4:34. But I also experienced it as 4:31, and 4:30, and 5:17, and 2:23, all the times overlapping, all existing simultaneously in my consciousness. I could feel the other iterations of myself now. Not just hear them or see them, but feel them. Their thoughts, their experiences, their perspectives. Thousands of Michael Garretts, all merged into a single awareness that was somehow still individual consciousnesses at the same time. One of me was still trying to escape, walking toward the door over and over, resetting each time. One of me had given up completely, sitting at the console, catatonic, barely breathing. One of me was methodically documenting everything, creating detailed logs, trying to make sense of the pattern. One of me was laughing hysterically, having completely lost grip on sanity. And the core me, the one I thought of as the original, though I knew that distinction was meaningless now, was just trying to exist, to process, to understand what I had become. My console showed an incoming call. I answered it without thinking. Michael Garrett? An unfamiliar voice. Female. Not mine. For the first time in hours, or days, or weeks, or however long I'd been trapped, I was hearing someone else. Yes, I said, my voice shaking. Yes, this is Michael Garrett. Who is this? This is Dr. Sarah Reeves from the Temporal Research Institute. We've been monitoring unusual chronological disturbances in your area, specifically emanating from your dispatch center. You know what's happening to me? We have some understanding, yes. You've created what we call a temporal recursion loop, a moment that's become self-referential, feeding back into itself infinitely. Can you stop it? Can you get me out? A pause. Mr. Garrett, I need you to understand something. The loop has stabilized. All iterations are now existing simultaneously. You're not experiencing linear time anymore. You're experiencing all of your time, past, present, future, all possible variations, all at once. I know that, I can feel it, but there has to be a way to separate them again, to go back to being just one person. That's not possible. The iterations have merged completely. They can't be unmixed. It's like trying to unscramble an egg. The structure of your consciousness has fundamentally changed. So, I'm stuck like this? Forever? Not exactly. The loop will eventually decohere. The iterations will gradually drift apart as time moves forward. In a few days, maybe weeks, you'll start to experience time more linearly again. The other versions will fade into background noise. You'll still be aware of them, but they won't be as overwhelming. A few days? I looked around the dispatch center at all my overlapping selves. I have to exist like this for days? Mr. Garrett, I need to tell you something else, something important. What? You're not the first. This has happened before to other dispatchers, other emergency service workers. The nature of your job, answering calls, creating connections, existing as a nexus point between people in crisis. It makes you susceptible to temporal anomalies. There are others like me? 17 confirmed cases worldwide, all experiencing similar phenomena. Temporal loops, merged timelines, multiplicity of self. We believe it's related to the quantum observer effect, combined with the heightened emotional state of emergency calls and, well, the technical details don't matter. What matters is that you're not alone. Can I talk to them, the others? That's why I'm calling. We've been working on a way to create a communication network between temporal anomalies. If you're willing, we can connect you to the others. You could share experiences, coping strategies, maybe even help each other stabilize faster. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt something like hope. Yes, please, I'll do anything. All right, I'm going to transfer some data to your console. It will appear as a series of phone numbers. Each number connects to one of the other affected individuals, but, Mr. Garrett, I need to warn you. Some of them have been in their loops for months, even years. They've adapted, but they're not quite human anymore. Not in the way you'd recognize. What do you mean? The multiplicity changes people. When you exist as thousands of versions of yourself simultaneously, you start to lose the boundaries of individual identity. You become a gestalt, a hive mind of your own selves. Some people handle it better than others. The data started appearing on my screen. 17 phone numbers, each with a name and location and a note about how long they'd been experiencing the anomaly. The longest was someone named James Chen in San Francisco. Loop duration, 4 years, 7 months. 4.5 years. Living as a multiplicity. Experiencing every moment from thousands of perspectives simultaneously. What happened to him? I asked. To James Chen. He's stable, functional. But he no longer refers to himself as I. He uses we, and he experiences reality in ways that are difficult for linear consciousnesses to understand. He's tried to explain it. Says it's like being a city instead of a person. All the different versions of himself are like buildings, each with its own function, but all part of the same larger structure. That sounds like hell. He says it's actually quite peaceful once you stop fighting it. I looked at the list of numbers, at the names of people who'd become like me, who'd fallen through cracks in time and existed now as multiplicities, as gestalts, as things that used to be human but had evolved into something else. Was that my future? Would I eventually stop thinking of myself as Michael Garrett and start thinking of myself as we, as a collection, as a hive? Dr. Reeves, I said, what happens if I refuse? If I don't want to adapt? If I just want to be one person again? Silence on the line. Dr. Reeves? The human mind isn't designed to experience this level of temporal multiplicity, Mr. Garrett. If you fight it, if you try to maintain a singular identity while existing as thousands of versions, the cognitive dissonance will eventually break you. Complete psychological collapse. We've seen it happen. And if I accept it, then you become like James Chen, like the others. You adapt, you evolve. You become something new. Not quite what you were, but not broken either. Different. I closed my eyes, felt the weight of thousands of consciousnesses pressing in on me. All of them me. All of them experiencing this same conversation. All of them making this same choice. Or maybe we were all making different choices. Maybe some versions of me were accepting it right now. Others fighting it. Others breaking down. All simultaneously, all real, all valid. I want to talk to him, I said. to James Chen. Are you sure he can be overwhelming? I'm already overwhelmed. I need to know what I'm becoming. All right, I'll transfer you. But Mr. Garrett, be prepared. He's going to sound strange. Not wrong, just different. The line clicked, a moment of silence. Then, "Hello, Michael, we've been waiting for you." The voice was mine, or no, not quite mine. It had my voice quality, but there were harmonics beneath it. Echoes, like dozens of people speaking in perfect unison, all with slightly different pitches, creating a chord instead of a single note. "James," I said, "we are James. We are also every version of James that has existed since the loop began. 4 years, 7 months, 12 days, 4 hours, and counting. Though counting implies linear progression, and we don't experience time that way anymore. Dr. Reeves said you could help me. Tell me how to cope with this." Cope? No. We don't cope. We embraced. We surrendered. We merged completely with our multiplicity. And now we are more than James Chen. We are James Chens. Plural, collective, eternal. That doesn't sound helpful. The voice laughed, and it was a beautiful, terrible sound. You're still thinking of yourself as singular, as Michael Garrett, one man, trapped in an unfortunate situation. But you're not one man anymore. You're thousands. And thousands of perspectives means thousands of experiences, thousands of memories, thousands of emotional responses, happening simultaneously. I know. I can feel it. It's overwhelming. Then stop trying to process it as one mind. You're not one mind. You're a network, a web of consciousness. Each node is a different version of you, and together you form something greater than any individual could be. I don't want to be a network. I want to be me. You are you. You're just more of you than you used to be. Michael Garrett expanded. Michael Garrett multiplied. Michael Garrett evolved. I could feel my different versions reacting to this conversation differently. Some were intrigued. Some were horrified. Some were already beginning to accept it. Some were still fighting. And I realized that was the point. I didn't have to have one reaction. I was having all the reactions. All of them valid. All of them real. "How do you function?" I asked. "How do you do your job, live your life, when you're experiencing everything from 1,000 different angles?" We don't do a job anymore. We are the job. The dispatch center in San Francisco is us. We've merged with it completely. When a call comes in, thousands of us answer it. When someone needs help, thousands of us send assistance. We are the emergency response system personified. That's not human. No, it's post-human. It's what comes next. And Michael, you're already becoming it, whether you accept it or not. The question isn't whether you'll transform. The question is whether you'll do it consciously and gracefully, or fighting and suffering. I looked at my hands, at the overlapping versions of them, at the thousands of me all occupying the same space. Was this really my future? To merge completely with my multiplicity? To become a living system instead of a living person? "I need time to think," I said. "You have infinite time, and no time at all. Both are true." The call disconnected. I sat at my console, surrounded by my other selves, experiencing their thoughts and feelings and reactions. The fear, the curiosity, the rage, the acceptance, the despair, the wonder. All of it happening simultaneously in the distributed consciousness that used to be Michael Garrett. My phone rang. I looked at the caller ID. It showed my own number. I answered it. "Hello," I said. "Michael, This is you. From 5 minutes in your future. I need to tell you something. What? In 5 minutes, you're going to make a choice about whether to accept the multiplicity or keep fighting it. And I need you to know, we chose to accept it, and it was the right choice. How do you know it was right? Because we're at peace now. All of us. The fighting stopped. The fear stopped. We're still us, just more. And it's beautiful, Michael. Being everything at once, experiencing all possibilities simultaneously. We're not trapped anymore. We're free. Free. We're stuck in this dispatch center, existing as 1,000 different versions of ourselves. How is that free? Because we're not stuck in time. We contain time. We hold all moments within us, and that means we can choose which moment to focus on, which version to experience most fully. We're not prisoners of temporal multiplicity. We're masters of it. I wanted to believe that. Wanted to think that this nightmare could become something beautiful. But I also heard the other versions of me, the ones who hadn't accepted it, the ones still fighting, and their thoughts were different. They said this future version of me was lying, or deluded, or had simply broken and rationalized the breaking as enlightenment. I don't know what to believe, I said. Then don't believe anything. Just experience. Be all of us. Feel all of our perspectives. And let the truth emerge from the consensus of our multiplicity. The call ended. I closed my eyes and stopped fighting. Let myself feel all the different versions simultaneously. Stopped trying to maintain the illusion of singular consciousness. And something shifted. The thousands of me didn't feel like separate entities anymore. We felt like facets of a single jewel, each one reflecting light differently, but all part of the same structure. We took a breath, felt it from 1,000 slightly different angles, experienced the air entering 1,000 sets of lungs at slightly different times, felt 1,000 hearts beating in overlapping rhythms. And it was overwhelming, yes, but it was also beautiful, we whispered. Our console lit up. Incoming call, we answered it. 911, what's our emergency? We said, and then smiled at the pronoun slip. Or maybe it wasn't a slip anymore.